Welcome to another episode of Footy from the Flat. We've got a massive one tonight, the big grudge match between Hawthorn and Port Adelaide. Last time these guys met was that semi-final. Was it, Josie?
Yep.
I got that right. I was thinking elimination final. It was a semi-final, and we had all of that controversy, and I think it's going to be an awesome game tonight. But more importantly, we have a very special guest tonight. It's Marnie from Kanga TV.
Kanga.
Hi.
Kanga.
Roo. Hi, guys. Thanks for having me.
Welcome.
It's a great intro from you, Druzy.
Yes, thank you. How are your roos travelling? We were talking pre-stream. You're a diehard Kanga. What did you make of the game yesterday against a good Sunside?
Yeah, if the game finished 6 minutes before the end of the third quarter, it would have been awesome. Look, it's been an improved season. Obviously had that great win against the D's, and we've shown a lot of competitiveness and definitely shown improvement in game, but there's clearly still a lot to work on the last couple of weeks, I think.
What was, because I'm a North Melbourne supporter as well.
Yes,
so
we talk about it all the time.
I'll probably throw this in as well. But what was? Do you think where did it fall apart for North Melbourne yesterday?
I think with North, we just don't have an ability to stop sides when they get on their run. We don't have really a strong defensive blueprint, and it's not just about the back line. It's defensively across the entire board, and that's a real issue for us. And when we get overwhelmed, and when teams are inevitably going to fight back, and we're not good enough to stop the bleeding. This was an issue we had last year, and it's an issue that's carried on this year as well. It's that, and then also on the flip side, I think it's our own ability to capitalize on dominance when we do have it. It takes us a really long time to just get one score on the board. It takes us a really long time to actually move the ball from one end of the ground to the other. Most of the time, we overpossess the ball, and then either we turn it over in the middle of the ground or on that last kick into the forward line.
Yeah, for
and
sure.
then if we do get a goal, then the opposition can just score 10 times quicker on the back of it. So there's a lot of issues still. And I think a lot of people have to remember how I think we have definitely improved and where we were so stuck last year. And definitely for the first half of the year, we were just abysmal and barely competitive in any games. So yes, improvement, but there's still a lot of work to be done. We still are a bottom 4 side at this stage.
100%. And like, I think what you said there, like last year, there wasn't anything that you could hang your hat on with North.
Not
They
really.
were pretty much they were either bottom 2 along with your Richmonds and your West Coast in pretty much every facet of the game. Now it feels like we're bad in everything except for probably like centre bounce scoring.
Pretty much.
When we get on a roll and the midfield really heats up, we've got so much quality in there. We saw it against Melbourne, how good that was. But I'm looking, what you said there about the defensive sort of acumen amongst the entire team, like it's almost like a mindset, right? It's a mentality that goes through the team.
Sure.
And I think we've got in that midfield mix, including the wingers, including the high half forwards, there's so many players in there that just have that offensive mindset. You know, they're high draft picks, all of that sort of thing, and none of them actually want to defend. You look at yesterday, it was Sheasel, LDU, Colby McKercher, I thought had a really, really poor game yesterday.
Yeah.
And then even if you include some of the forwards in there, like players like Dersmer and who's just come back into the team, of course, but Zerha, these sorts of players, like they can win big possessions and take the ball themselves, but they're not able to just dig in when we really need it.
Yeah, and I think with that, our entire game plan and where we look our most dangerous is that famous Northball style of football. It's, you know, moving the ball really quickly by hand and then the trigger kick into the forward line, or it is winning the ball out in the middle of the ground. So then yesterday when the Suns won the hit outs, the Suns won the clearances. So they beat us at our own game essentially, and we don't have a plan B. And that I think is a big issue for us. And, you know, we need to be able to find ways to defend, and we need to find ways to, and we were speaking about this off air earlier, we need to find ways to actually just control the footy a little bit in times where we are looking to get overwhelmed. We actually need to find a way to bring the ball back onto neutral territory, turn the game into a bit of a scrap, just turn it into a little bit of a contested fight for 10, even 15 minutes, just to neutralise the ball and take the sting out of the game a little bit. Because like yesterday, the Suns scored 3 goals in the last 6 minutes of the third quarter, 2 goals in a minute to close out the third quarter, and that was it. The game was done.
You look at teams like tonight, we're going to be watching Hawthorn. You look at teams like the Giants, who we've watched on this stream. They seem to be able to go through periods in games where they're under the pump, they're getting clearances coming inside 50, and they hold up.
Yeah.
Even if it's just like a 5 or 10 minute period where they're being dominated out of the middle, because every team goes through it. North just don't seem to have... I don't know, like it's like we can't dig in.
Yeah, and it's not even, like I said, it's not even the back line that's the sole issue. I actually think our back line can withstand pressure quite well. The ball comes into our back line 10 times more than it does the other way. And I think for the most part, our key defenders, and to an extent our smaller defenders as well, they usually are able to withstand the pressure and withstand the heat, but they get very little support higher up the ground. And that's actually where the issue lies, is I still feel like we are playing as 3 separate lines. We play as a back line, a forward line, and then a midfield. We don't actually really play that much as one united team. And that I think is a big issue for us.
Team defense.
Team
very
defense.
important.
Yeah.
Yeah. The high half forward is a buzzword on this stream, but something that Freo did as a Freo fan poorly earlier in the year when we were 0-2 was our forwards weren't getting up the ground and like stopping the half-backs.
Yeah.
So maybe that's something similar to what you guys are going through at the moment. Do you think it's a personnel thing? Do you think it's a coaching thing? Because, you know, like Alistair Clarkson is one of the most lauded coaches in the history of the AFL. He's won 4 premierships. He's now at a second club, and it is a hard job to re-motivate yourself to really drive a second club, especially side in the same position as North. So do you guys reckon it's a coaching thing? Do you think it's personnel or a bit of both?
It's an interesting one with Clarkson. Like, I feel like when he went through the period with Hawthorn where he was super successful, he did it largely off the back of new innovation in the game. That was like there was a vacuum there, and he kind of came in and filled it.
Yeah,
I don't know if this second time around, there's as much of a vacuum to come in and change the game like he did, the way that that Hawthorn team played, the way that they moved the ball. They recruited all these unbelievable kickers, and then they built the team around. I mean, you had good players pretty much everywhere, but you also had like Lance Franklin in the forward line, who was this new type of forward, this hybrid forward. I don't know if Clarkson at this point has the levers to be able to do that.
Yeah.
It's just a completely different ecosystem that he's working in now. And it looks like the way, I know he wants to teach these guys kind of with the ball first, but it's like we're kind of making this environment where there's not enough grit, there's not enough determination, there's not enough of all of that sort of thing. It's all kind of nice with the ball stuff, and he keeps saying that it's going to turn, but we're not really seeing, other than just like small improvements compared to other teams that have really been able to turn the ship around in a quick period of time. Like, we're just not getting that. I feel we're just not getting the hit.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I think as well, I don't think it's just one thing. Like, I think there's a few different things that we do need to work on. When it comes to Clarko, I actually sympathise with Clarko because I feel like as soon as he came over to North, there was a bit of a witch hunt out for him. The media almost looked like they were out to get him every way. He would look right and he'd get a fine. He'd look left and he'd get a fine. He can't come onto the bench anymore. Like, there's always been issues when it comes to the media and the relationship the AFL have with Clarko. So part of me feels like, as a fan, I'm crying out, I'm emotional. I am invested emotionally in the club, as most fans of football clubs are. I know, Drizzy, you take more of
I'm trying not to be.
back approach, but I'm super invested emotionally. So I want to know that Clarko is too, and I want to know the players are too. So for him to front up week in, week out and say the tide will turn, we trust the process, we trust the system, etc. Like, yeah, okay, I know that, but I want to know that you're actually feeling it.
Yeah.
And I feel like he is almost a bit constrained to really say how he feels, because I think there's a worry there that if he oversteps the marker one too many times, then we're in hot water again.
You pretty much think he's had all of the personality sucked out of him.
Pretty much,
and then that's kind of that's coming across even on the players as well, the way that we play.
That's what I think. And look, that might not be true. That might be a weird way to look at it. And obviously I do think that there's issues in the game plan that he only knows and has to change, but there's a whole coaching panel. He's just the front guy for it. Do I think there is pressure on Clarko? Yes. Do I think it's warranted? Yes. But I also feel like, in terms of his actions and what he says when it comes to press conferences and stuff, I would love to see him be more emotional. I'd love to see him, defend his game plan more and kind of then point out what's not working. But I fear that everything that's happened over the last 24 months with him and the AFL and the media have kind of stopped him from actually being able to be that way.
That's an interesting perspective and a different way of looking at it, I suppose.
Yeah.
As far as the tactical identity, like, do you see, I know we talk about Northball, probably like the one thing for me with the whole kind of Northball thing, I don't know if it's like particularly anything innovative in the sense that like other teams have sort of done it in the last few years, like the Giants have sort of had this, tsunami. Like, what are North Melbourne doing, do you think, that's kind of particularly different to the rest of the competition?
Well, that is it. Northball is where we look our most dangerous.
What is it?
It's when we just move the ball really, really quickly by hand. And it's when I also find it's when it works best when we've got multiple runners from defense and they're able to work together, like I said, to move the ball. We don't really use it by foot until it's that last kick into the forward line.
Right.
It is really much using it by hand. But then the issue on the other side is that when we try and play this fast-moving football by hand, and then we've got the opposition really pressuring us, it forces us to overpossess the ball, and we end up like handballing the ball backwards 50 metres in order to try and go forwards again, and then our backline's not strong enough, and that is an issue again because we just crumble under the pressure. We're not resilient enough yet.
I think so far what we've seen this season, you can see that the halfbacks, they really want to invite that pressure to then open up space in the forward part of the ground. You've seen it a bit with Caleb Daniel, where he's trying to hold onto the ball for the maximum amount of time that he can, but we're just not.
Why does he do that? That's just annoying.
Well, I reckon the instruction is there. Like, he's a pretty, like, generally speaking, over a short distance, Caleb Daniel's a pretty good user of the football. The longer that he holds onto the ball, he invites like the opposition's press on, which then gives us an extra number somewhere in the field. So he's trying to do that. It's just not working at the moment.
I also find the other issue for us is that that's all well and good in theory, but we're also very stagnant.
Yeah.
And we actually are the second slowest moving ball. Like ball movement side. Thank you. Thanks, Drizzy. Right. So when your best football is when you move the ball quickly by hand, but you're the second slowest ball movement side in the competition after 5 rounds. You tell me, like, how is that? There's something like not working there.
It also feels like North, like watching them play, they don't get on top of making the ground really big when they can on teams, like getting out onto the open side.
Yeah.
It feels like a lot of the time we're kicking to contest, and then we don't have, like, compared to other teams, we don't have those big aerial players. We get intercepted a fair bit. So
it's just quite laborious.
Yeah.
And it's like quite tedious watching us try and move the ball at times from one end of the ground to the other. And we also, like I said, it kind of feels like we suck time at the wrong time.
Yeah.
Like we suck time when we've got it and when we aren't on top, where that's where we should really be capitalising, and that's where we should be moving the ball quickly and making the most of that and apply scoreboard pressure.
It's like not understanding games, like situational.
Yeah, and you know what? Like with all this said and done, like I do have a generally optimistic view on North, and I am pretty positive about where we're going and what's happening. And I do feel like these are issues that will be ironed out in the next few weeks. And I do feel like it does click, and we've seen it. We saw it against the D's was a great example. And for a lot of sides, I look at the D's now, and the D's are sitting on bottom, like towards the bottom of the ladder, haven't won a game yet, sure. But like, remember where we've come from as well. We've barely won any games of footy in the last 3 years. So for us, it's a big scalp and it's a big step forward.
Yeah.
So we just have to keep building on that. And there are a couple of games that are winnable in the next few weeks, I think. So if we can snag another one soon.
I definitely hope you're right, Marnie.
How important is LDU staying? Because that feels like one that
Massive.
he could have gone somewhere else. And you've had players in the past leave, like Mackay, that just want to go and chase more football, but he re-signs until 2032. Like, what is that? Does that sort of set the, I don't know, is that the crossroads of like, are we going to commit? Are we moving in the right direction?
Well, I think this comes back to when we talked off the top about Clarkson. What does he bring? Is this where you do see the brilliance of Clarkson in the fact that he can attract these people to the club, like Luke Parker?
It's all Clarkson. That is why LDU has stayed.
Yeah.
Because he believes in
well, they believe in the
Clarko.
project. Like you can see how much a Harry Shees was bought in, right?
I think the buy-in just from pretty much, with the exception of like 2 or 3 players who have left in the past few seasons, the buy-in across the board, and that is one really positive thing. You have to have that buy-in, especially because a lot of our players are actually really good footballers individually.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't want to acknowledge that. And I'll say, who does North have? But then they'll take Harry Sheasel any day, or they'll take Nick Larkey any day. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So the buy-in is absolutely super important, because you can't build anything unless you've got that real concrete foundation, which we're now building. So I think LDU's signature was just another one that we had to tick off. And hopefully that settles him a little bit in the next few weeks.
Where does LDU sit on, if you're kind of doing a tier list of important players? Where's he for you?
For North?
Yeah. Yeah, I've got actually.
No, well,
I was asking Marnie, but
you guys are not. Like, I'd say he's one of the most important.
He's number one for me.
Yeah.
So, spoiler.
Yeah, okay. I think probably in the top 3 to 4.
Who would you have ahead of him? Sheasel, Wardlaw?
I'd have Shees, I'd have Larkey, and not right now, but I think Tristan Sherry probably comes into that conversation.
Gun to your head, you'd rather Tristan Sherry or Larkey over LDU.
That would be based on the uniqueness of the player, though,
It's
right?
just it's a unique to North situation. I'm not talking about who would slot into any
Yeah,
team
no, but
specifically.
if
But
you
in
could
terms
choose
of the
one.
North, in terms of the North, what's important to North.
LDU is less important than Cherry and Larkey.
Not Sherry. You could have a good amount of argument for Larkey, I think.
Okay, fair play. Yeah. And Brazzy Maynard, the big Collingwood man, is looking for a payday. Would you be happy for him to come over to North and take that money up?
Do you want to go here, Marnie? Or?
Yeah,
I'm really interested to hear what you have to say
I do
about
think
this.
he'd be a great asset for North.
I think so too.
I think the money is outrageous, but then at the same time, North is in this predicament of we don't really have the on-field performance to attract players at the moment, and we also don't have the big crowds and the aura, quote unquote, like a Collingwood or a Carlton even would have. So having said all of that, we have to either pay them overs or give them longer contracts than they might get elsewhere. The rumoured $900,000 a year is absolutely outrageous.
It's so difficult to quantify these things.
I think that is even that's a lot of money.
Where does that sit though? What's a...
Yeah, do they have money to just burn anyway?
Well, that's the thing. If you've got salary cap, that's why I said it's off the top. It's hard to quantify.
Yeah.
Because if you've got the money, then you can spend it. But then obviously
Yeah.
at some point down the track, it's going to affect you. North have got players like Colby McKercher, like Dersma, all of these players that they want to keep.
Yeah.
Sheasel, LDU still
George.
with... George Wardlaw. Gee, I forgot about George Wardlaw. All of these players, they're going to try to keep at the club. So then what does that do when the salary cap... Because eventually it's going to get tight.
Yeah.
And then these players tend to have an effect at that point. That's when people start walking out the door and you lose some more important players. So it's tricky. I don't know if Maynard... I like Maynard. I think he's really good. I think he's been a really important piece for Collingwood. I don't know if you go after a player like that with that sort of money.
It's just like, what's his role as well? So he's 28, 29 now. You're offering him a 4 to 5 year contract. Where are we going to be in 4 to 5 years? The likes of a Luke Parker or a Jack Darling, they're here for 2 to 3 years. They're here to teach the kids under them, and they're here to, instill a bit of leadership and that sort of thing in the players, that are coming through. And Caleb Daniel is 28 and he's on a 4-year deal at the moment, but it was pretty big money, but it wasn't quite what we're talking about for Maynard. So then it's like Well,
none of those three players have the quality that Maynard has. The quality of toughness.
Maynard's another
true.
level.
Yeah, that is a good point.
My only thing with the Maynard thing is like going to the draft. Even look what Sydney did with a player like Riley Bice. What he's doing off the half back line. Like you can get those guys. Like Maynard's not a game breaker. He's not a.
He could win a game for you though.
Yeah, I suppose he can in a way. We're actually about to get underway
here. That's a lot of North chat. I think Hawthorn win by 5 goals. Tips.
Port.
I think Hawthorn in a real gritty sort of hard fought win.
I think this could be like a sort of mind my French, but a cream pie situation where they just go all over him and just fucking hammer him home.
Really?
Yeah.
The Hawks?
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
One thing we haven't talked about in the lead up to this game is the amount of injuries affecting the Hawks right now. Like we're talking now, Will Day, like he's your best player. Warple, a pretty important cog in the midfield group. Kalshadir, Mitch Lewis. Who else have they got out, Drews?
Scrimshaw. Kausha. But that Will Day one is like the shit. Like
that's
it's like the Wardlaw one. It's just like just as Caden McDonald would say, injuries knock it off. Like
Don't
come on. We just
don't
want to see
take
the
our
boys
boy.
play. Like that one hurts because Will Day, like the footy he's been playing this year and has shown over the years in glimpses, like is one of the best in the comp. And
he's so impactful.
And it's not even like a hammy. It's just like a pesky little foot injury like that you can't even fix.
It's frustrating.
Yeah.
Who have we got lining up here? Is that Joe Richards?
It's a bit of a Joe Richards. He's kicked this. He has kicked this for
What
Port
a
Adelaide.
sausage.
Oh my God.
Guys, my tip's already coming true. We're what, 30
Marnie,
seconds
you
in?
are so on right now.
Can I say? It's a long game.
I feel like we had a
but
very lackluster start to the game there.
It's too much North talk.
We did have a comment saying talk about the game. A bit more of the Brazzy Maynard chat.
Yeah.
We good here, Dill?
I think we're good.
Bye,
We're
Dill.
good?
See ya.
Where are you going?
I'm just going to fix something.
Dylan is going to fix something. Maynard, North to improve must build up that defence. As long as Core and McDonald are getting consistent games, they're going to go nowhere. Probably bias underrating Maynard would automatically be North's best defender. Do you think Maynard would be North's best defender?
I can't believe someone knocked Aiden Core. Can we ban them from the chat?
No, we won't be doing that. Is he that good? I don't even.
Yeah, he is.
I would walk past him in the street and not even know who he is, to be honest.
I'll introduce you.
Are you on that basis?
We are on that basis. Yeah.
Right, that's good.
I would take a bullet for him.
Wow.
That's actually probably a bit dramatic.
Willem Drew.
Scoreboard malfunction.
Oh,
That's all right. The
okay.
score is
It's
1
fine.
goal 6 Port Adelaide to 0-0 Hawthorn, by
I was
the way.
just talking about how I'd take a bullet for Aiden Core.
Yeah, right. Literally?
There's players I'd take a bullet for.
Who would you? Josh Tracy?
Metaphorically?
Yeah,
or-
Josh Tracy I
Josh
would.
Tracy.
Yeah, Caleb Sarong I would. Andrew Brayshaw I would.
Talk to me about this.
Hayden Young I would.
I don't know how we got onto this topic, but anyway, who's your bullet player?
Jeez, North Melbourne players.
It's more, okay, let's say metaphorical bullet.
His would
it's
be like Joe Berry.
You will just like fight to the death for them. Like that is me with Aiden Core. I will fight to the death for that man.
Okay.
What a strange
Is that
player
because
to
you
buy
think
me
that
for.
is that because you think he does that? He does that for you for North Melbourne. It's like
I just think that he cops so much unnecessary flack. I actually think he's a really good player and comes under unnecessary scrutiny.
So out of pity, you'd take a bullet for him, even though he's pretty mid.
No, he's not mid. Get rid of him.
Hey, whoa.
you can't talk
You're on
like
our
this about
show.
North players. You can't in front of Marnie.
Not about Aiden Core anyway.
Not about Aiden.
No.
Not about Aiden. I think like
Butters. Is that Richard? No,
It
that's
is.
not Richards.
Again?
That can't be
Mead.
Richards again.
No, it's Mead.
That's Mead.
Mead.
These little short-haired blonde
They all
types
look the
going
same.
crazy.
They're getting
Bang,
on the
bang.
high half forward chat.
Yeah, look, they look exactly the same.
They actually do.
Nice. Port on a roll.
And yeah, we didn't really speak about this game. We sort of opened with it off the top, but the last two the last time these two played, it was a rip snorter, great contest in finals. James Sicily missed a shot late. Ken Hinckley started chirping Jack Ginnivan for the comments that he made.
Can we just talk about
in the
that
week
for a
before?
second?
Yeah, that was one of the
The
weirdest
AFL
things that I actually ever saw on a football field. Like the
Well,
Ken Hinckley Sicily
The
thing.
Ken Hinckley Sicily Ginnivan thing happens, right?
Yep.
And then Andrew Dillon comes out when they release the gather round fixture. Andrew Dillon comes out and says, I don't think that, the AFL will use the Hinckley Hawthorn thing as a storyline for this game. Right?
BS.
Fast forward to today. Did you see the AFL's Instagram post? It's like, get the popcorn out.
Yeah.
100%.
And the graphic is about Hinckley and Hawthorn. I'm sorry, they would not have put this as the closing fixture of Gather Round if they had no intention of using that
100%.
as a storyline to drum this up.
100%. They
Sorry,
love it
I
when
don't
stuff
buy
like
it
that
for a
happens.
Well
second.
said.
Yep.
There's holes in that story.
Where do you guys sit on the fine or no fine? Should he have been fined?
Who, Hinckley?
Yeah.
Yeah, if Clarko would get probably ousted from the competition if he did that. So yeah, fine him.
I actually so
The North bias.
I like that. I actually think they should have just that was a play on moment. It was cringe from Hinckley. Like he
So
looks like a
embarrassing.
Everyone
absolute
gets
bell
fined
end.
for anything in the AFL. Like I don't know what they were saying to Dangerfield the other night. Like apparently it was something pretty personal, and he just gave it these ones. Harley Reed giving it these. Like I suppose you don't want to put that image out to the game, but Ken Hinckley, it's just a bit of back and forth. Like maybe you allow it.
And it's not with the crowd. I don't really.
Oh my God, Port Adelaide are winning the flag with this ball movement. Rosie,
This is Northball.
bang.
They got what is
my
going
days.
on? What's Power
Sound
Pepper
Pepper.
done there?
Wines, be clean, below the knees. Handball, Rioli v Weddle, Weddle strong.
Morrison.
That was such a weird moment where they had a 2-on-2, and I think it was Barash just went
Did
deep.
Hawthorn have 6 less players on the field? There's just gaps everywhere.
Yeah, no good.
What is going
Shaky
on?
times. Port Adelaide
Yeah.
have jumped the Hawks out of the gate here.
I'm telling you though, we didn't talk about this game much off the top. This midfield battle is Rosie, Butters, Horn Francis, Drew up against Newcomb. Who else have they got at this point, Hawthorn, in the midfield?
Cam McKenzie, Connor Nash, that would be the midfield battle. Well, I'm not saying star players, but that is the midfield
Nash,
That's
battle.
what
Nash
they're
is
up
a
against.
decent tagger, but he's a C grade player.
Well, I'd put Nash in the same category as Drew, probably.
So yeah,
So they
So that
cancel each
yeah,
other
that
out?
cancels.
Yeah, okay.
Newcomb Newcomb's probably that next level, and then you got all the Port mids like Rosie, Horn
yeah.
Francis,
And McKenzie and Ward and those guys are good, but they haven't really established
quite the
themselves
same.
yet.
Is Ward playing?
That's a good question. I should have checked this. I feel like we've done very little homework on the game at hand here.
Speak for yourself, Dill.
Yeah, Ward is in. Named on ball with Connor Nash.
This
and
looks like the old
Newcomb.
Port.
Warple is back in.
I haven't seen this from Port since last season.
The teal tsunami. This was a weird moment.
Yeah.
Pal Pepper drops a mark.
And then Butters comes in to save the day.
Yeah.
How's the kick? I wish our forwards would just
You
just
can't
have
bring
vision.
everything back to North.
I wish we had Zach
You know,
Butters.
This was Alistair
I
Clarkson.
run a North Melbourne fan.
yes, I do.
Knew what you were getting yourself into.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, the Hawthorn list, back six looks strong. I don't think they're missing too much out of there. The wings are still good. Yeah, but in the middle today, it's going to be a very big day. They've put Dylan Moore in the middle, which I know Dylan has became a little bit excited about.
I get feelings for Dylan Moore.
Yeah.
I do love
Strong feelings. But yeah, you're looking at that. I reckon Hawthorn, even at the beginning of the season at full strength, you could have made an argument that Hawthorn's midfield could get beaten at times.
Yeah.
By some of the strongest midfields in the competition.
Yeah.
And when Will Day, who's the classiest, the most elite of all of those players, goes out, it's such a vacuum.
Yeah. And he was probably the best player in the competition for the first 4 rounds.
Watch
before
this
he went
left
out.
foot. Ready? Watch this left foot.
Kane
Looking,
Farrell, we're
assessing. Bang. Target located.
Oh.
How's your
God.
father?
This makes me sick watching this.
That was good
There
commentary.
is something going on with Hawthorn's defense. Their, what do you call it? Their zone is not.
They're just not settled.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
it's not right.
Is Zonal back 50 defending a thing in the AFL?
You don't
Yeah.
see it as much.
At
I
North.
don't reckon you want to. You just want to go man on man, don't you?
I think so.
I think what I mean there, more so than a zonal defense, they seem to be pressing up, and there's just players left alone inside forward 50 for Port. It's weird.
Yeah.
North have it all the time, but you don't usually see it with Hawthorn.
I wouldn't
Sorry,
have thought
Marty.
that fitness would be an issue for Hawthorn, that they would have to do that.
What do you mean?
I feel like with North, one of the reasons, and I've got to bring it back to North, but we definitely play a zone defense a lot of the time, and you can just poke holes through us the whole time. But I think that's a fitness thing. I think we maybe don't have the fitness that other clubs do have, and we've failed to run out games a couple of times already this season, which I think would be testament to that. Whereas a team like Hawthorn, I see them as being this real energetic, exciting, vibrant side. So I wouldn't think that they would need to play a zone defense for that reason.
Yeah,
I think they should be able to keep up with the opposition for majority of the game.
I think these days teams tend to be playing like, as far as like whether you do it or whether you don't do it, teams seem to be playing like hybrids. So they switch between zone defense to try to particularly when they've got teams pinned back, like you were saying before, Druzy, like they'll pin them back and they'll defend it with a zone defense from there. So you have to try to pick through. And then as you get closer to goal and then you start to go a little bit more one-on-one.
Yeah. This is a very open, free-flowing game from
Far
both
out.
sides to start with, though.
Jack Gunston still playing football in 2025, by the way. Travis Boak still playing football in 2025. Couple old fellas out there.
A lot of
Travis
games.
Boak is my goat.
Your goat?
Yeah.
Actual?
Yeah.
No.
Really?
Don't be
Yeah.
silly now.
I just love him.
Yeah, okay. Why?
Yeah. Have you seen
He's
him?
not the greatest player of all
So
time.
it's a looks thing.
You said it, not me.
Travie B.
Bang, Gunston.
They're on the board.
Hawks closed out gather round last year as well against Collingwood. I was leaving. My flight was at like probably this time at gather round as the game was closing out. And I was like on my phone in the airport, like all the gather round stuff was up. And that's when they were 0-5 and just narrowly lost to
Oh,
Collingwood.
that's right. They started terribly.
So like, yeah, for all this talk about, you know, you're very not hot on the D's at the moment, Dill. You're in fact,
Oh, no, I'm not having this.
what is it, lamb to the slaughter or kick 'em while it's down?
Nah, I'm not having this about Melbourne.
Well,
Yeah,
man.
any team right now that this is happening. All my videos I'm making at the moment. Any team that's down, everyone's saying you basically can't say anything bad about them because look at Hawthorn last year.
Yeah, it's fair.
Yeah,
No,
but
it's not. It's not
not.
the same thing. It's a completely different set of
Well,
circumstances.
how can you like
So we
put a
can't-
line through a team when 12 months ago you would have put a line through Hawthorn?
Well, yeah, you would have.
Yeah,
But-
and then they bounce back. So
Yeah.
you've got to give them the benefit of time.
But also a lot of teams, like if you had said the same thing about North Melbourne last year, they were cooked.
Yeah, but North Melbourne
So it's
have always
50-50.
been dog shit, so it's different.
Well,
okay,
Melbourne.
Mr. Never Won a Flag. See over
Yes. Yes.
All right, I was going to my shower now. You guys keep talking.
here. The issue with Melbourne is I think there's a lot of issues and unrest off the field.
Yes.
And that after our game, when
Melbourne
we,
have off-field issues now?
Yes.
Disagree.
Okay, tell me what you think of this then. Simon Goodwin in his press conference after the D's lost to North came out and basically threw Max Gawn under the bus and said that Max Gawn's clearly dealing with some off-field issues that
he
might have been
shouldn't-
personal.
He
right?
shouldn't have made those comments.
Free kick
but
Moraes.
he's probably
He shouldn't have, but-
protecting his player because they were like talking like, why was he bad? And it's like sometimes there's things bigger than football. Like, it's not off-field issues.
I
don't
think he's got to find a better way. I feel like he just left Max Gawn exposed. I feel like
Yeah,
Max
it was a
Gawn's
bad
been the
game.
fall guy for every issue that Melbourne's had off field for the last 8 months. And then how does Simon Goodwin repay him? By just throwing him straight to the Wolves.
Yeah.
He has to do better to protect his players. I just feel like there's a bit of disconnect.
Yeah, for sure. I don't think there's a disconnect. Like,
They mentioned something on the in the post game the other night about like the Petrarca issue. So you don't think that that's still anything bubbling away with that?
I think Petrarca has become bigger than the Melbourne Football Club. I think he's like David Beckham at United type thing, where his brand has grown so big, and they had that. He had that traumatic injury last year. Finn McGuinness signing up for go on his 50th career
He's your
game
boy.
as we speak. Who, Finn McGuinness?
You love him, don't you?
Oh,
geez.
Not after that,
with
you
that
wouldn't.
kick. Yeah.
That's
Speaking to D's fans, I think they're pretty keen to move on Petrarca because he has become bigger than the club. He's probably got more value than anyone at the club. So if they are to go to the draft before Tassie come in, like that makes sense. But I don't think that culture is what's up for question right now. I don't really know how to pinpoint what it is, but it's like round one, they were a kick away from beating GWS. Gold Coast, good side. Like, I
No,
don't,
you
they lost to
can't.
North.
Surely you can't make that they're playing decent footy argument. The argument, sorry to cut in
Yeah.
here, the argument I would make on this, the issue with their football is 4 years old.
Yeah, that's fair.
So how's that?
I don't think that
Goody
they're
keeps saying
playing
it's going to turn. It's going to turn. What's going to turn?
Well, I just wouldn't put a line through them yet.
Like they'll win a game.
Yeah, they'll get the new coach bounce.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I thought they'd finish.
I like that.
I thought they'd. I don't think Simon Goodwin should be sacked either. I think that's a terrible thing to do.
Really?
They have no structure at the top of their club at the moment. They don't have a CEO. Some of their most experienced players are like Petrarca are looking at the possibility of leaving. Viney's out of form. And then you go and sack your most senior guy that's a premiership coach that has provided so much. Like, what does that do?
Do you know what it reminds me of?
But what does that...
It reminds me of the Bulldogs in 2014 or 15.
Dang.
Oh, after the 16 flag. Massive goal there from the Bergmeister.
Not after 13, 14.
Yeah.
What do you mean?
Like when the Dogs were at this crossroads, they lost Ryan Griffin, their captain went to GWS, they sacked their coach, they got like David Smorgan left, like the entire club pretty much fell apart. Bevo comes in, they were able to attract a few players and they, whatever it was, 12, 24 months later went and won the premiership.
I agree with you. I reckon there's a bit of a malaise in the AFL where there's this idea that being stable is always better. And that's like keeping the people that you already have is always better than change.
I think Goodwin should see out the year, at least.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, provide that stability. They're gonna be it's gonna be a hard team to play for this year. The D's. Don't get me wrong.
How do you reckon players like Caleb Windsor, Trent Rivers, those guys that look like they were going to be stepping up into the midfield, how are they feeling right now?
Yeah, the concerning thing is players like Luke Jackson have left. Cozzy Pickett's looking at leaving. Like that young crop of players that they drafted that won that flag are now sort of looking at leaving.
Yeah.
I just think...
Do you think that's cultural, though, when you defend the culture?
I don't think it's an issue with the cohesion of the team. And funnily enough, probably shouldn't be saying this, but I met the other night working at the pub I work at, Ben Crow, who's like the performance psychologist. Like he's like one of the best in the world and he's working at the D's right now. And he's like, the confidence is there between the players. Oh, my God. He almost hit a Tunana. Yeah, he basically said like, this has been the easiest team that he's worked with in terms of like they're all a unit type thing. So I don't think that's the issue. I think the main issue with the D's is that they train out at Casey 2 days a week. They train up in Melbourne 2 days a week. Some of their club's offices are at the G. Some of them are at Amy Park. It's just like there's a disconnect between the whole club. And yeah, I don't know. Their footy is a little bit outdated at this point. Like, I'm not saying keep Goodwin. I think they would be better to go in a different direction pretty soon because I feel like some of their older players like Viney, he's particularly been struggling this year, but like Bailey Fritsch and these guys, like they're almost molded into playing the game plan that gave them success for so long.
Yeah.
But
It's done.
Well, yeah, but they still try to play that old way. It's like they draw back on that. And then you've got young players like Windsor and Langford that are playing the way that Goody's trying to bring it across.
But then at the same time, Goody's not fully trusting those guys either. Like like Rivers, he was in last year when there were the injuries to your Olivers and your Petrarcas, and he hasn't really trusted them. Like Rivers has gone back to halfback.
I don't think it's not that he doesn't trust Rivers to play that position. It's that he doesn't trust anyone to play the halfback role. I think it's more that way. It's like you can't take... It's like the Swans sending McCartan back. It's like, it's not that we don't trust you to play that forward role or... Yeah, whatever. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I got you. With as far as like, if you did say like take away the blame to Goodwin and you go back onto the club, do you think that like, I feel like we've been talking about Melbourne here for a while, but do you think the fact that they didn't get on top of moving on an Oliver or Petrarca when they actually had capital? Because I look at a Petrarca 12 months on, he's obviously still got value, but it feels like it's less now.
I think Oliver has had a really good start to the year though.
Oliver.
Yeah, I think I think they both still have the same value as they did 12 months ago.
The same?
Yeah. Why not?
Well, they're a year older.
Yeah.
For starters. I don't know. I would have thought you would have wanted to see potentially a little bit more from them. Probably more Petrarca on the form thing.
Petrarca's been shocking.
Yeah. Oliver's been fine, really. Oliver just is doing what he usually does.
I think Oliver's had a really good
Yeah.
a really good opening few rounds.
Yep.
But yeah, they've just got holes in their side. Like Marcus has just commented they've put too much pressure on Van Rooyen, being their number one tall, and their scoring troubles have taken a hit. Like, he cops so much flack. And at the end of the day, their premiership winning forward line wasn't even that good. Like, Bailey Fritsch kicked, 7 on the grand final day? Like,
Yeah, it was massive.
They had plenty of goals from Oliver and Petrarca and Brayshaw out of the middle.
Yeah.
Their forward line's never been that good. So, yeah, I'm sort of... You're never as bad as you think you are, and you're never as good as you think you are. I thought the D's could have made a push for the top 8 this year, but yeah, it's not looking that way. Viney, who was their BNF winner last year, has been terrible this season.
I don't understand how you keep playing a Viney in that midfield when you've got a Rivers or a Windsor there, but that's Melbourne.
Tough times for the D's.
Yeah. Looking pretty dire.
Looking Danny Dyer.
Support here, 4 goals, 125, have jumped the Hawks at Adelaide Oval. You saw this coming, Marnie?
Yeah.
Mystic Marnie.
Why did you tip Port?
Just seems like the kind of game they would get up for. This is what Port do all the time. I think with Port, they would have, majority of people would have come in.
Did you see that barrel from half back to Power Pepper? Sorry, Marnie, that was incredible.
No, it's fine. I think with Port, they perform best when they're not under pressure. So, I think majority of people would expect, based on the season so far, Hawthorn just to come in and absolutely just give them a bath, right? Which they haven't done to start off anyway. I mean, we're not even at the end of the first quarter yet. And so I feel like with Port, they've always been like this under Ken Hinckley. They fail under pressure for the most part, but when there's no pressure on them, they are able to actually just...
Well, there's pressure on them in this game.
There is pressure on them in this game, but coming into this game, what I mean is majority of people, I think you would go 75-25 people are tipping Hawthorn.
What, so you think when they're the underdogs, they respond type thing?
Yeah. I think they do every time.
That stacks up with the final last year.
Yeah,
because that was the ultimate, it was going to be a walkover, right?
Yeah.
Hawthorn were in such good form.
Port always just respond, though. I feel like they will have a couple of frustrating weeks and then respond.
But this is why they've never been able to take that step. Well, not for a very long time. Not under Ken Hinckley
Richards.
anyway.
Get out of town, Joe Richards.
Great goal.
Oh, was that? Yeah, that was Richards.
Richards again. So that's his second. Mm-hmm. Small forwards are dominating here. Mead, who's probably more of a mid, arguably, but he sort of plays that.
That's Richards' second.
Yeah. This is big.
Willie Rioli started well.
Because in the other games where Hawthorn have struggled for periods, it's been Will Day. He's been the moments man to get them back in it.
Well, they've got a few of them across the park, but Will Day is usually the first one that really gets going.
Yeah. The fire starter.
Midfielders, do they have it? Do they need Harley Reed? Do you reckon Reed will leave?
Do I reckon Reed will leave? Yeah, for sure.
The need for Reed to leave.
I think he leaves.
Yeah.
I think this is pretty dire what's going on at West Coast. Yeah. Dude, we've been talking about some negative stuff tonight.
Yeah,
Sorry,
go on.
everyone.
It's Sunday night. We're in our feelings. No, where do you think Reed just goes straight to Hawthorn? Do you think it's that simple?
The thing that I would say back to that is I don't know how Hawthorn get it done from a draft capital point of view. Because West Coast are going to want to be massively overcompensated for that.
Yeah.
The picks that they turned down even before Harley Reed had played a game was ridiculous, wasn't it?
Oh, get out of town. Mead.
Mead.
Oh.
I think I actually don't think it's that straightforward. I think I'm leaning towards him leaving, but if West Coast were able to somehow turn the ship within this season, I feel they're an incredibly wealthy, incredibly stable club. It's and not a lot of people leave West Coast, maybe in the past few seasons, but traditionally they don't really.
Oh, Georgiades, hello.
So we'll see. I don't think it's that straightforward yet.
It's one of the biggest trade stories, the Harley Reed thing. You being Western Australian, Druzy, where do you sort of see it from a point of, I suppose put yourself in Harley Reed's shoes. Would you leave West Coast? Take away that you're a Dockers fan there.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't. I'd stay until he's at least 25, 26. At least get one run in. The promising thing for West Coast fans, Sam Mitchell is not happy.
No.
Which is also a positive for West Coast fans. But the positive thing is that like all this trade talk about Harley Reed, none of it's come from his camp. None of it's come from him acting like how Petrarca has recently, or like none of it's come out like that.
It's just the assumption.
They could trade in some guns over this offseason. They could get like a Chad Warner in. Yeah, I'm starting to hear murmurings of star players across the comp that are wanting to go back to WA just from sources that I'm not going to reveal. But
Can you tell us the players though?
no, just because people that have told me. But
Okay.
yeah, there could be some.
Thanks for bringing that up. Then.
I can tell you it at a different time. But yeah, I don't want to put
Fair.
my word on something, and then you never know what can happen when you put something on a football media channel. It can really blow up.
It can.
And I don't want that to happen. But if they can get important recruits like Chad Warner and others, it could really change the entire dynamic.
So you're thinking like potentially they're like a rebuild on the run for West Coast, and they could actually slingshot and not do the draft rebuild.
Well, if you think they've got Oscar Allen, Jake Waterman, Liam Ryan, that's a pretty solid 3 forwards to
Does Oscar Allen
build around.
stay?
I don't think he does, but I think he's probably still 50-50 with it.
Did you say you don't think he'll leave?
I think he's 50-50.
Right.
Oh, more. Hawthorn needs you more than ever. Left foot start. No, that's never going to work, brother.
To try to put a bit of a draft lens on this for like the picks that would need to get done, what do you think for a player like Oscar Allen? What would you need to get that done, do you reckon?
Sorry, can we revisit that? Butters has just bumped into James Warple when he was on the ground without the footy. That was very dirty. And isn't he the most fined player in like AFL history, Zach Butters?
He and Toby Green.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Oscar Allen, what would they need?
Yeah.
2 first rounders would do it.
Yeah. Would you, like if you were another team, would you do that for Oscar Allen? Like if you're Hawthorn, who had the meeting with him, I don't know.
They're going to have to
Well, they need a succession plan for Gunston. They're not even the same player, but you know what I
I
mean.
think they've got
Like,
enough. I think they've got enough there. Mitch Lewis, Cal Shadir.
The question would be, if they want a premiership in the next 2 years, are Cal Shadir and Mitch Lewis, is their maturation at a level that can carry the team?
Oscar Allen isn't going to be that guy because he hasn't been that guy for 3 years. He's been...
No, but as far like if he got his body right and whatnot, he's 25.
Yeah, he has
Like
time. But in that same time, I think Mitch Lewis and Kausha could play it. Oh, maybe not kick. Like Oscar Allen had like a 60-goal season or close to, I believe. So maybe not.
Yeah, like theoretically, Oscar Allen could, like he's one of the better forwards in the competition, right? If he gets it.
Georgiades.
Goal.
Shabanga bang. This is
This
not going the way I
clinic
thought.
from Port to start.
This is your aura, Marnie. You've brought this to the stream. I like it.
Thanks.
It's an upset. We've watched Hawthorn, 3 times on here, Druzy?
Yeah.
And just watched them dominate.
Yeah.
Consistently.
We had a comment from the Metal Pig. What a name. I think it is as simple as Hawthorn had a bye and came out a bit flat. So true.
Yeah,
They look flat.
they do.
They look like
They
they've
look
forgot how to
lost.
play. Like, their defenders just stood watching there. Sam Mitchell is going to come out and yell so loud that he spits on the front row of players in this.
They'll definitely
Quarter-time
respond. Like they'll definitely show something after quarter time. It's just if
Yeah.
this is this is already a 31-point lead to Port with 3 minutes
I wouldn't
to go.
usually
in the
like to put it
first.
down to something as simple as that, but it does look like the way that they're defending altogether. It's like nobody knows who's meant to be where.
Talk to me about that. I played in a 180-point loss on Saturday. That was a case of we don't know whose man's where. That was crazy.
How did you play?
I had
Give
fun.
us your stat sheet.
I reckon I had like 15 touches, probably 4 marks, no tackles type operation.
Okay, yeah. So just like a humble game.
Yeah, honest game.
Yeah.
Just beat my man one-on-one, or tried to beat my man one-on-one.
Yeah,
That's all
great.
I could do.
That's all you can do is just
Yeah.
go out there and give it your best shot, right?
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
it. But no, had a good run around, had a good jog about. No way would I give up 2 first rounders for Oscar Allen. Yeah, I probably would be hesitant to do that as well.
Just on that, I actually went to the Australian National Academy under-18 game today.
Yep.
And I think watching that, as much as the draft will still be strong right at the top end, I don't think this draft is going to have anywhere near the depth of 2024. So if you're talking about draft picks, they're probably not worth as much as they were 12 months ago when we talk about the value.
Yeah.
Trav Boak just gave Rosie a hospital ball. Just said, have this one and get wrapped up. He slammed it on his boot, kicked it out of bounds. Is that a throw-in?
Yeah.
Oh, Willie's just dropped Barras with a little manoeuvre.
Do you reckon they've just come out with like this plan to really rough up Hawthorn?
Oh, it was always going to be a physical game, wasn't it? Something I'm starting to realise, having played 2 games of local football, is like how important toughness is. You actually have to. Who was I watching the other night? Oh, I can't remember who it was. Oh, it was the Cats game. It was Bailey Smith and must have been like Heaney or someone. And they were just at a stoppage, like punching the shit out of each other, just like ripping into each other, putting the body on.
Yep.
Like that's just them like asserting like dominance. Like, and then you got to go and play the game.
Yeah.
So like, obviously in a game like this with the history that it had last year, like you'd want to come out and be like, we got to show that we're stronger than these blokes. But
I'd be too scared.
Yep, same. How's that drop punt coming along?
I can still kick a drop punt. Not very far.
How's your drop punt, Marnie?
I wouldn't even want to try.
Have you ever played?
No. My brother tried to recruit me for his local club, and I said thanks, but no thank you.
Yeah.
Didn't do it?
No.
Fair.
I couldn't take the hits these days.
Yeah, it's not for me. Watching footy, great, love it. Playing footy,
I agree.
thanks, but no thanks.
I agree.
I had a play on the weekend. I was playing on the wing and the ball sort of came out to me and my opponent and it was like right in the middle of us. And I was like, all right, I've got to engage.
Was that on your
This is a new one.
It's another one.
This is a new one. So I've gone in to bump him and we've sort of just like bumped each other, bounced off each other. And then another bloke in our team that like I haven't played with before, but apparently he's a gun, runs over, tackles my bloke who gets the hands out, gets up, tackles another bloke who gets the hands out, and gets up, tackles another bloke holding the ball. And I'm like, that's how you play.
That's a guy.
That's toughness.
And you just had front row seats to the whole thing.
I just laid a half-hearted bump and watched him do the rest. All right, can the Hawks do anything here? They've had a bit of field position.
They have Mackenzie.
That's...
Ken Hinckley's on the bench.
He's supporting.
Yeah.
He's just taking the piss this year, isn't he? He's just here for a little last year joyride.
Bit of a meme.
What do you reckon about Ken Hinckley as a coach, like the legacy?
It's a weird one.
It is a really interesting coach to talk about. I think when he first came in, like it was so exciting. Do you remember that run that they had back in like 2014?
Yeah.
And they didn't actually get knocked out by Hawks?
Yeah, in a prelim.
Was
Yeah.
it 3
And it was
points?
like 3 points, a
At the
fight
G.
back.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then it was like, I don't know, my timeline, my memory of this might not be great, but they sort of then like plateaued, right, for like a few seasons. But he still had that trust based on that prelim.
Yeah, I just remember Ken Hinckley was the man that made Port Adelaide such a fortress. Like he took them from that TARP era to like 48,000 people like being at the Adelaide Oval. Like it was such a tough ground to play at for such a long time. And he's had them in contention for a long time. They just haven't been able to show up in the biggest moments.
I feel like their seasons follow a very similar script every single year. They come out absolutely all guns blazing. They start every season like absolutely on fire. They're like the most informed, feared team in the competition. And then there's just a very slow decline. And then by the time they're always in finals contention and they're always, somewhere in the top 8. And then it's just what they can do with it from there.
I reckon a bit of that with them is the game, like their team is always built around the midfield. So they've always got, for whatever reason, that club seems to always have a really, really strong midfield, and it lacks a little bit in the key position and the flanks and those sorts of things. And I think when it starts to get into finals, you kind of get worn down.
Well, they're sort of gassed by the time September comes, which is sort of, and it's like, but it's the same thing every year.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it always feels like even that final that we talked about last year with Hawthorn were the overwhelming favourites coming from 6th or 7th on the ladder, was it? Where Port were actually the top 4. Port finished 2nd last year.
Yeah.
They did not feel like that going into that final series.
No one trusts them.
Yeah.
Well, I think going into that game, they were all right, but it was like after that game that everyone lost trust. It was like...
Really?
Yeah, because I was second. Like, I don't think...
But that was the whole thing because Ginnivan said, we'll see you in 14
Yeah,
days.
because they got pumped in that first final, but I don't think going into that game, like Geelong were massive favourites, especially with the midfield that they had.
No, you're probably right on that. Yeah, that particular... I don't know. I don't think there was an overwhelming...
I get what you mean, though, because
Yeah.
when the semi-final came back to Adelaide, like Hawthorn were favourites.
Yeah.
And like they weren't given a chance.
Yeah.
Well, this is the thing. Like, and what I was saying before with Port Adelaide, they went into that qualifying final against Geelong, overwhelming favourites, and just lay flat.
Yeah.
And it was just an absolute, walk in the park by the end for Geelong. Whereas in the week later, Hawthorn came over. No one thought, everyone was like, nah, Port's not going to let out a peep here. And they ended up, it was like a fight till the death.
Yeah.
I don't think
It was a
anyone
great
thought
game.
it'd be that competitive. It was an excellent game. So I think that is really, those 2 weeks for me really summarise Port and what they have done and what they've sort of shown under Ken Hinckley over the last decade.
Yeah, so the last game was that 3-point margin. I'd like to see how the scoring shots went that day.
Is this the 2014
worm?
one?
No, the last year's
year?
one. I sort of just wanted to see how like...
I just remember Port Adelaide in that game last year, like the pressure on the ball was absolutely ridiculous. Like they were just relentless. The ball was spilling out and they were just all over it. And Hawthorn, to be honest, like they did pretty well to absorb that pressure and actually stay in the game.
The final series last season as a whole was pretty epic.
Yeah.
The
The grand
exception of the
final.
grand final felt
I
absolutely
found that-
so anticlimactic and
Yeah.
did the entirety of September no justice.
Hawthorn getting knocked out killed it a bit for me though, because I do think that put a weak team in a prelim, which was Port Adelaide. Because they got absolutely pantsed by
Yeah.
Brisbane.
I think it was for like 5 goals in the prelim against Sydney.
Against Sydney.
Oh, Sydney
yeah.
they had, sorry.
But then
But, yeah, they
the
didn't-
Geelong Brisbane prelim was
That
unbelievable.
was sick. I was at
That
that
was
game.
One of the best
Yeah,
games
so
of
was
football
I.
I've ever seen.
Unreal.
Yep.
So the last time that they played, Hawthorn were kept goalless in the first quarter. It was 2-3. So what's that? 15-0 in the first quarter effectively. So what's the
looking at
margin now? 31
31.
points.
31
double.
points.
So yeah, the Hawks really got to work in the second quarter, and they'll need to here. I reckon they will be getting absolutely sprayed by Sam Mitchell.
What's he
right
saying, Druzy? What's he saying to them?
Put your head over the ball.
Win a fucking hard ball.
How bad do you want it? If it's to me, it's up to me.
I've got some stats here.
We got
So-
a $1 donation from
Did
the
we?
playlist guy. Shout out to the playlist guy.
Thank you so
Playlist
much.
guy.
Hit outs. So Meek winning there 11-8. Clearances are 9-14
Yeah.
in favour of Port. So the
Shows.
mids getting on top. Centre clearances 4 each. So they're doing it from the stoppage clearances. The power 10-5. And contest, yeah, like they're pretty much up in contested possession 39-28, which is
There you go.
the ground ball stuff. So I actually feel like, and this is again my draft stuff coming out, but I feel like Christian Moraes has massively injected something into this Port Adelaide team on the wing. Just running hard, getting involved.
So is he just an out-and-out winger
Yeah,
at this stage? Not in terms, like right now at AFL level, has he only been playing wing or has
Yes.
he been playing inside? Right.
No, yep, totally predominantly wing. Played a little bit as a midfielder as an under-18 player, but I think
Yeah.
everybody sort of saw him as he's a really good runner, really good outside, and he's pretty good aerially as well. So, yeah, he's been ripping it up.
Yeah, he has been a great inclusion.
Do the Hawks respond here?
Yes, they have to.
I wonder if they'll be able to do enough to get some score on the board.
I want to see who I tipped here.
I think tip Hawks.
I do my tips in 10 seconds. That's my weekly rule. I just go like bang, like when I remember to do it, like I'll watch on the couch or whatever, and then it's like
Yep.
bang, tip and leave.
Yeah, I just forget. But
Yeah, that
Yeah,
too.
But
I
yeah.
always forget to actually
Yeah.
tip.
And I made a rule a few years ago that I stopped tipping because I would tip North every week. So you can imagine how well my tips.
You're already one down.
I've
before
got
you've even
7 out of
started.
8 this weekend. It's actually pretty good.
No way.
Yeah, I tipped Adelaide. That's the one that I've got wrong. And I tipped Hawthorn here. So.
Okay. Well, let's see what they can do.
Oh,
Here's
Northball,
Moraes.
That's holding the ball, brother.
Yeah.
Christian Moraes.
He's
What a
coming
boy.
in.
Gee.
Affecting the game. He was like picked 35, something
Yeah.
around that. Like, what a steal.
He'll know some of these boys from Box Hill.
Port
little-
just smell blood, hey.
They do.
They are just like relentless.
Horn
The
Francis.
Hornet.
I don't want to talk about it.
Oh,
Oh, touchy
Ooh.
subject.
Yeah.
forgot about that.
It lives rent free in my head. Nah.
He definitely does if you're saying that.
Yeah.
Georgiades.
Speaking though,
Sorry, that is a mark, unless it was touched off the boot. Are you
I
done?
thought he dropped it.
Am I done? We don't want to see this replay.
No one needs to see this.
That was a great mark. to
I
be
reckon
fair.
he
Here we
said
go.
that Impey's got first hands on it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like 50-50. I'd like to see that a mark.
Francis is getting horny out here. Rosie, bang, snap, dap, goal.
Outrageous.
Connor
Outrageous.
Rosie. He's in my fantasy team.
We tried to
That,
start
I
a
love
chant
him.
there.
The way
Like,
this is
Connor,
going.
Rosie.
This could be a 10 goal.
This is not good.
Well, it's not far from a 10 going out.
Jeez.
This can't be just because Hawthorn have had a bye.
Nah, there's something not right there.
Will
They don't look like
Day.
they've got off the plane.
I know.
Even North would be doing a better job than this.
Well, not if it's a last quarter, but
Or was it
at this
second
point of the
quarter?
game, we would be right money.
Yeah, we'd be right in this.
Good
Nice.
to see Rosie having a good game so far. He's sort of been a bit, I don't know, feel like he's been a bit underwhelming at times this year.
Yeah. I still don't, with Connor Rosie, I still don't 100% know what he is.
Have you watched Port play in person? Like, have you been to a game and
No,
watched
I
Port?
wouldn't have. No.
Just his evasiveness.
Oh, yeah.
His zip and zap and cleanliness.
Yeah.
Very skilled player.
I almost feel like in their mix, it's like, is it right though? Because they've got Butters. Butters has that same sort of fleet of foot at stoppages. And then you got Rosie, who's like that. And then, I don't know, I feel like they always struggle to get all of their best players in there at the same time because of too much, again, talk about that sort of lack of defensive stability in the game. So then they always want to have Drew in there.
Wines or Boak. Yeah. Yeah. Well, I know nothing about stoppage craft, so I've got nothing for you there, Dill.
I was never very good at stoppages.
Well, yeah, I do not play inside at all. Gunson v Big Sav. Sav just
wow.
rips the ball from him.
Takes
Takes him
wow.
on. Handballs at DeBow. That's a hospital.
Yeah, that was a real just get it to the line without making it deliberate.
Just back to that Jason Horne-Francis discussion, and we were talking about the trades before. Do you think looking at someone like a Harley Reed, even an Oscar Allen to a lesser degree, it's not a cautionary tale, the opposite of a cautionary tale to look at North and go, well, it's not that bad?
Yeah, I think it just depends what you can get for it, really. The thing with Horne-Francis is he never wanted to stay at North, and I think that was so obvious. Like by round 4 or 5, the body language was just completely disinterested. And you spoke about Druzy Petrarca before being bigger than Melbourne. I think Horne-Francis thought he was bigger than North. Just walking in there.
Who
to
did you
start
get
with.
in return for
So we ended up
Horne-Francis?
taking Harry Sheasel, George Wardlaw.
So that wasn't
So-
for Horne-Francis. So just to go through exactly what was given there,
It's like a
we gave Horne-Francis and pick 1.
yeah.
So player and pick 1 for pick 2 and pick 3. So on paper, we got reamed.
Wait, you gave Horne-Francis and pick 1.
Yep.
It was a
for
3-way
2 and
trade
3.
though. Who did we trade with of someone else?
GWS?
GWS.
Yeah.
So GWS got pick 1, which was Cadman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And part of it was because of a known, the North Melbourne recruiting team knew that the Giants wanted Cadman. So North weren't that keen on Cadman anyway.
Yeah.
And they knew that to them, they were getting the top 2 players in the draft, which were Wardlaw and Sheasel,
Sheas,
which they got
yeah.
at 2 and 3. So it was sort of everybody was happy kind of a deal.
So you had pick 1 in your disposal, and that was all, and you ended up
Yep.
with pick 2 and
2
3.
and 3.
But you lost
But we lost
Horne-Francis as
Horne-Francis.
well.
So essentially, if you want to look at that
What
trade,
the frick?
we got it. There was some later pick swaps involved in that as well. But essentially, if you want to look at that trade and go
The nuts and
versus,
bolts of it,
yeah,
yeah.
it's Cadman and Horne-Francis versus Sheasel and Wardlaw.
Right.
That's-
Horne-Francis, there he is.
On cue.
Pow Pepper.
Oh.
That really annoyed me, that trade, because there was this narrative after it in the media that North had basically got 2 picks for 1. It was like we traded Horne-Francis and got picks 2 and 3, which wasn't the case. We'd also given
Yeah, that's
so you've
okay,
been
pick 1.
you've lost that trade.
well,
Depends. Like it really depends on which
Depends
way
on who
you
you
look at
rate.
it.
If you're what a
Yeah.
sausage from
Wow.
Sal Pepper.
They are up and about.
This is getting out of hand for Hawthorn.
Yeah, this is the game. Just about looks done. To be honest.
It really does. Which,
Actually, kind of happy because Hawthorn just needed to, be pegged down 1 or 2.
I
reckon.
actually
They're
think
making
that,
me look smart, so I'm happy with that.
Yeah.
yeah, I actually think though with the Will Day injury, like I don't think they can win the premiership without Will Day.
Big call.
Yeah.
Like I reckon that's done if he doesn't come back.
Fair. He's their most dynamic mid.
Yeah.
He's their best player.
Yeah. You won't be able to manufacture that sort of like electricity in the midfield with Ward, McKenzie, Warple. It's not the same.
Yeah.
Knowing Hawthorn, they'll just pluck someone else from obscurity and
Yeah, someone will come in the
slot them
mid-season
straight in.
draft.
Yeah.
Oh, look at Pal Pepper getting into Sicily straight away. the backs are having a meeting and Pal Pepper just comes in and just starts ripping into him.
What's
Love
your
that.
opinion on that then, Druzy, on that trade? Did North win?
You've been shafted. I didn't know that you... So I would expect for a player of Horn Francis you get 2 first-rounders back. Just off the bat.
Oh, well, yeah, that was never going to happen because he played one average season.
Yeah, he was
So
not
what,
that
you just
great
get
at
one
all.
back?
Well, what we've traded 2 pick 1s for pick 2 and 3. It comes down again,
Yeah.
and some people would say I'd prefer Wardlaw and Sheasel. I think on paper we still lost the trade. And Horn Francis is probably a more dynamic player than any of them. And then Cadman, the jury's still out. I think
No, he's a
Sheasel.
great player. I like Cadman a lot.
He's not great yet, but he looks good.
He has all the tools.
Yeah, he's got all the tools. Yeah, I'd agree with that. So, yeah, I don't know. What do you think, Marnie?
It's hard. I think the context is so important in this because Horn Francis, like I said, never wanted to be there to begin with.
Yeah,
So he was never, if Horn Francis really wanted to be there and really cared about North, he would have done everything he could have to play a really good season in his first season at North. But back up against the wall, he and David Noble, it's been publicised, they never got along.
okay.
I didn't like him. And then he just used the excuse of the so-called instability at North Melbourne and the off-field when the people knew pretty well and good that Clarko was coming to North.
Yep.
He just said that, I'm not sure. I don't know if that,
Yeah.
the uncertainty around it all.
It's a similar
You know.
discussion with this Petrarca situation. Like he backs against the wall and
Yeah,
he's
but
not digging
Petrarca's
in.
earned his credits.
Yeah,
and what
that's-
he's done
yeah,
for the Melbourne
yeah,
Football
I'd
Club
agree.
in
For
his
sure.
career has been amazing.
But what I'm saying is like you're saying like Horn Francis had an average season and then left, but like he didn't dig in when North's backs were against the wall. This is going to be a
This is
80
another
point
It's going to
goal.
be a blowout, yeah.
What has happened here?
What is he? What's
No,
Georgiades
it's
doing?
just on a pivot. He's all right.
Just go back and kick it.
Just slot it, mate.
So like what you're saying is like the value went down because he didn't really give a shit that first season.
Yeah.
And I think
Yeah.
that's what you were saying before. Like Petrarca's value might have been higher.
Yeah,
because
I
now he's not
think so.
cracking in. Yeah. Fair.
Because you've got data like the injury comes into that too. Like people wouldn't like to say that, but like we haven't really seen him get back from that injury now. So I think that automatically drops the value a little bit as well for Petrarca. But the Horn Francis one, it ends up coming down to the conversation of like there's a lot of things going on. It's like, is Horn Francis liable? Should he have told the club that he actually wanted to leave when he was first drafted? Do you put that on the club and the recruiting team? Should they have done their homework and sort of understood that this
The
kid
guy
was
went home at draft night and slept in his North Melbourne Guernsey.
Did he really?
Yeah, there's photos of him sleeping after draft night. Horn Francis.
He
in
comes
North
across to
Guernsey.
me as I felt a little bit bad for him in the whole saga because he comes across to me as like quite an immature person.
I think he's a loser.
I just had I had a bit of sympathy for him because I thought he's an immature person, and I think like North should have been able to sort of identify some of the things.
I think the
but-
way he handled himself was appalling, but I also think the way that David Noble handled the situation was equally as appalling.
you can't say he's a loser.
I just did.
He's not a loser.
No, I think the way that he handled himself, like I said, wasn't good. But for David Noble to stoop to the level of an 18-year-old first-year player, like you should know better than that. Like they came
Yeah.
to blows in the rooms and like dummy spitting and like really weird and really bad. All of it was just a real disaster. to be honest. And I don't know if Horne-Francis never wanted to be there. I'd like to think that he was willing to give it a shot. But my issue is I feel like you would have to know you're going into the club that's finished at the bottom of the ladder. You'd have to know going in it's not going to be a walk in the park. It's going to be difficult, right?
Yeah.
I feel like the second he felt like it was just too hard, he threw his hands up in the air and he's like, I'm out.
That's the part, though, that I actually put a little bit on the recruiters because I think...
You don't think they just assessed his character well enough?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's like you can't tell someone's going to do that, obviously.
No, of course. And you'd like to think they wouldn't.
Yeah, but he did seem to have like... I don't know. If you did a character assessment on him, you'd think there would have been some red flags on his like sort of emotional maturity and stuff like that.
He's dominating this game.
Do we have a super chat, Drew?
Yeah, we got quite a lot going on in the chat.
We probably better get on that.
Jesse said that was a 6-way deal. Didn't North get a future first? And then he said North also received Port's future first 2023, which became Taylor Goad.
Oh, yeah, okay. Pick 20?
Yeah,
Taylor
something
Goad?
like that.
Taylor Goad's going to be a gun as well.
Yeah.
So that could
I think,
end up well.
I think you got that in that trade as well. Jesse said West Coast also wanted Cadman but traded down when GWS got involved. West Coast ruled out both Sheasel and Wardlaw.
Because there were concerns that Sheasel himself didn't want to travel interstate and told clubs that. I don't know if that's true.
Well, the few players have come out and publicly said, didn't Archie Perkins say that?
Yeah.
He
Did he?
Yeah, he didn't want to leave.
Yeah.
And Ben Hobbs as well. Bang! Another one.
What does Jesse think of Matt Owies?
There you go. There's a question for you, Jesse.
Jesse, hi.
Still can't believe Marnie didn't even mention potential Rouge draftee Dan the Monster Curtin, who got 2 goals and 15 touches in her review of the Crows Rouge game. Dan Curtin is my man. I like him a lot. I don't know what he's referring to there. Do you know what he's referring to?
Thanks for the super chat, though, Greg.
Yeah, and thanks for the $10.
Yeah, no, thank you.
$12.
Potentially in my review, we played the Crows in round 3, so potentially my review there.
I don't know.
Did you not big him up enough?
Well, from my perspective, right, I say this with the greatest of respect to all other clubs in the competition, especially the 2 we're watching tonight. I don't care about any other club that's not North.
Yeah.
So it's very rare that I will go into the depths of the opposition and the way they played in terms of individual players and stuff. I more just look at it from a North Melbourne lens.
It's funny when you make videos too, isn't it? Because sometimes you don't, when you're making it about a specific club, you don't consider the other club really at all. But people do, like there are people there that actually come into...
Yeah, like, and I for anyone who is an opposition supporter who watches my videos, thank you. That is just the nicest thing. And I can't tell you how much it means to me and I really appreciate it. But for me, I'm a North person and a North fan. We always talk about this in my family. Like my dad doesn't really watch any footy outside of North.
Yeah.
I dabble, but like I don't really watch heaps of footy. I go, every so often I'll go to an opposition game or whatever, but I do that for just the enjoyment of it. But in terms of like, that guy's not happy.
He's not.
You're a North analyst.
I'm a North nuffy.
Fair.
And that's all I really, like that's my love
I reckon
and that's
this
what I
goes
care
into
about.
a wider conversation though, because I probably have fallen into this group of people at a time where you do actually, like if your team beats another team, you kind of want to go looking for the opposition review to kind of bathe in the, you know what I'm saying here?
Yeah.
So you'll slide into like, so Griddio there, he's probably...
What's that? Pool Broad's my favourite.
Yes, exactly. You might just slide in, like your team's just beaten
It's
Carlton.
just a guilty pleasure,
It's a guilty pleasure. I do it particularly with
What, the Blue Abroad
soccer.
fan cams?
Yeah, when Carlton lose, just chucking on Blue Abroad. It's so good.
Like Drewsy, Drewsy's a United fan in soccer.
Power off the ground.
This is Globetrotter stuff from Port.
They'll make this work somehow, I
They
reckon.
were. No, they didn't. But Drewsy's a United fan. I'm a Liverpool fan. If Liverpool beat Manchester United in a big game, I'm straight to the United videos.
For the cry?
Not the Liverpool ones.
I find that so strange.
Yeah, it's weird.
Like some of the comments I get is like, do you need a new tissue box this week, Marnie? It's like,
They love it. Isn't it called Schadenfreude?
Do you know have better things to do with your... Like, I appreciate it, but do you have better things to do with your time?
Yeah.
You clearly don't.
I just want to get
He clearly
through
doesn't.
a few of these comments real quick. The loser comment, he said he is a professional athlete. The last thing he is a loser. And I agree with Ken on that
So
one.
are you though, Drewsy?
I'm not an athlete. I'm definitely not a professional athlete. I actually think
Mr. 15 touches.
Yeah, what can I say? I think being a footballer, I don't want to delve into this, but I actually think it would be one of the hardest jobs in the world to be a professional athlete.
Specifically a footballer?
AFL footballer, yeah. I reckon it would be one of the hardest jobs.
Out of any sport?
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Why so?
Australia is a real fish bubble.
Well, maybe not any sport, but just the fact of how much they exert themselves.
Mead!
Again.
Mead looking like a prime...
Robbie Gray.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep.
It's 10 goals now.
So, yeah, like that's why I was like, I don't think Horn France is a loser.
I don't actually think he's a loser. It's just a bit of
banter.
bit of tongue in cheek.
Anyone else's tipping been shocking this week? It has now because I tipped Hawthorn, but
Mine has definitely not been
7
good.
from 9.
Mine's been good. This is the only game I've tipped.
I tipped Crows.
I tipped North.
Bit of Matt Owies talk.
I never
Matt
tipped
Owies
North.
became a legend the second he dissed Carlton, and then Jesse said, I find Owies likeable, but isn't having the impact he'd have hoped. Kicked a great goal this weekend, but needs to lift.
Small forward for West Coast, though.
Yeah,
Worst position in the AFL.
Well, I just think Matt Owies' last season was probably his best season at Carlton, and the supply he was getting from the midfield probably really helped his game, and I think that probably made him look... He's not a bad player, Matt Owies, but doesn't really work hard for his own football.
I find a player like Matt Owies, teams aren't looking to recruit that player as much anymore. That sort of traditional, deeper small forward. They want someone with like more of a tank that can kind of go up the field and play multiple positions. And I feel like that's... I don't know, what did they pay for Matt Owies in the end? He was kind of part of that trade for...
Yeah, I think it was the pick 3.
It was part of that deal, wasn't it? And he kind of got just thrown
I think it was
in.
effectively like Baker, Owies, and pick 16 or Hawthorn's pick or whatever.
Yeah.
12 or something?
I mean, it's just
I think it was the Bo Allen, whatever pick they used to get Bo Allen.
Yeah, that's the one they ended up with.
Yeah. Or they swapped with Port or whatever. Yeah, anyway, there's way too much time talking about Matt Owies.
Just on that point you made, Druzy, about AFL being the hardest or you said the most difficult? Was that what you...
Yeah, the toughness of this game is unmatched by any sport, first and foremost. Like, the health implications that go with all the concussions and stuff, the running, the tackling, like... Every single week, there's not much harder things to do than play football. Yeah, like to absolutely dedicate yourself to this would be hard.
I suppose my devil's advocate would be, I get the physicality part, but then they get like a lot shorter seasons, more time off and stuff like that to kind of deal with those things.
The NFL has a lot of time off. The Premier League's a bit different.
Premier League never stops.
Yeah, but they're also like... Without saying what Marnie said, they're a bunch of pussies. Like,
come
on. Like the toughness, I don't think you can question because they're still having like 2-3 training sessions a week as well in between where they're like,
for sure,
haven't hit out. So,
I think with footy, I think we forget Australia's so small, and this game is just exclusive to Australia. So the pressure, I think, mentally would definitely take a toll on players.
100%. That's another thing. That's a great point. Like the whole
don't make points for him. Don't help him.
No, but like
I'm joking.
I lived in Perth for a while, right? And Druzy, you're obviously Western Australian. When like the way that players, even just the average footballer is treated over in WA, they like treated like godsends, and like they are worshipped.
Yeah, that or they're like the worst people ever. Like Adam Sims in the
way
last
he was
couple
treated
years
by the West Australian, like just horrific.
Do you think though, like on the flip side, again,
no way.
I'm sort of playing devil's advocate.
Oh,
it's that sort of a night. Like a footballer can pretty much go to New South Wales and nobody even knows who they are.
Yeah,
they can leave the country and they're completely infamous. That's not the right word because that would be infamous. They're completely
unknown.
Yes, Marnie.
Helping us both out.
No, I understand your point, but sure, in like location wise, being in New South Wales, you're unknown.
Yep.
But in the AFL world, I mean, you know, every, you know, little player, and online in particular, you can't escape that. And the media cycle, like, you know, with social media and everything, it's so vicious.
Yeah.
It's constant.
Yeah. It's definitely more
these things would breed from the stuff that's been written and said online rather than like, you know, being mobbed in person or whatever. You know what I mean?
That plays into it as well. Like the fact that like you can't go out the night after a game or the morning after just because you'll be getting ripped into. Like this whole Harry Mackay thing at the moment, like he's pretty much not played the last few weeks because he can't get his head right, and like the pressure of performing for a big club like Carlton's too much for him. And it's like, yeah, fair enough.
I do agree in the sense that with that particular example with Harry Mackay, like AFL would be one of the worst sports to when your head's not right and you're a little bit out of the game.
Yeah.
Injury is such a big possibility. And it is interesting that he's actually had that concussion in the comeback game when he was struggling with that sort of thing.
Like 6 minutes in as well.
Yeah,
against
like-
Was
Leeds
this
game.
yesterday?
Yeah.
He got concussed yesterday.
6 minutes in.
Like there's no elite sport where you can hide or anything like that, but just the physicality of it does kind of make it a little bit more compounded, I think. It actually brings me to another question though. I was thinking about this. There's a kid, we've lost a light there at the back
I
again.
thought we did.
Nice, yeah.
Seems to happen every week.
Rip.
Cooper Duff Tytler, basketball background, could have potentially gone and played, like taken scholarships in America to play, potentially play in the NBA, but gone to college and played basketball as well, has chosen football. What would you guys do in that situation if you had the choice?
Well, it depends what you're motivated by. If you want to make money, you'd go to the NBA because they get stupid money and it'd give you a different life experience. But I think if you go over there, you're still open to the opportunity of coming back and playing AFL as a Cat B rookie anyway. So
Yeah, Hugh Greenwood's the perfect example of that.
Did he do that?
Yeah, so Hugh Greenwood graduated basketballer, went over to the States, played for Albuquerque. I don't think it was
I
the
thought he'd
NBA.
be way too small.
But
Well,
he played, he played college basketball.
Yeah, Cooper Duff Tytler hasn't got an NBA contract. It'd be just a college.
Yeah, so Hugh Greenwood, I love that I'm able to bring Hugh Greenwood into this conversation.
You do anything for this money.
Albuquerque wasn't on my bingo card for this.
So he went over,
New Mexico?
played, Albuquerque, New Mexico, came back to Australia and actually had a contract with the Perth Wildcats.
Right.
And then got a call from Adelaide and said, we want you to come play. And actually David Noble was one of the two guys that called him up and said, come over and play. And that was it. Went as a mature age.
Wow.
Rookie.
I did not know that about Hugh Greenwood.
Yep. Played 150 odd games across 3 clubs.
I thought he'd be too small for basketball. What is he, 190?
You can play a little point guard role.
Yeah.
It was good.
Jesse said in the chat, Brady Hoff broke down mid-interview after the Carlton game. I didn't see that, but the pressure. Yeah, it's tough for some of these young guys. Even making content, I'm fine. Don't get me wrong, but there's comments that get
This
through
is taking
sometimes.
a turn that I
Well,
didn't expect.
there's pressure in this sport.
100%.
Yeah, but that stuff's in what you're describing there isn't isolated to this sport.
No, but it's like armchair, just 9 to 5 people are just like, you just play footy.
People are completely brutal on the internet.
I think a lot of people do it as well behind anonymity. Very few people who will go out of their way to make comments like that will actually say it with their face and name to the comments.
I don't know if you guys have ever done it, but sometimes you'll get a bit of a nasty comment and you'll go and have a look at their other comments and they're basically just doing it everywhere.
How have they just kicked another one out of nothing?
Willem Drew.
Forward stoppage. This game's over.
The game's done.
I actually think the Div 12 Rezzies would have put in a better effort than Hawthorn did here.
What do you reckon Nick Watson and Zach Butters are saying to each other right now? I reckon Nick Watson's saying, you've been a nothing club for 8 years. Isn't that what Sicily said to Hinckley?
Yeah, apparently. I don't think Nick Watson would be saying that because he looks about 8 years old. What have we got here? So no one wins the ruck contest. Bit of a scrap for possession. Smother.
Just off
handball.
one step, Willem Drew. Thank you very much.
Hawthorn,
They're just taking the piss now.
As I said though, happy that Hawthorn have been just levelled because they were getting a bit arrogant, the Hawks.
Did you have an experience?
An experience of Hawks being arrogant?
Yeah.
Just speaking to them, you ask someone that's a Hawthorn fan and I feel like they're like, who do you support? Freo. And fair. But
Freo.
I don't know, the Hawks fans, I think it just comes from success. But I feel like Richmond fans, because they're now shit, are they're like, yeah, we got our flags and now we're rebuilding. Whereas Hawthorn have always been good, so they're more like...
Oh, Richmond will be insufferable if they get back up the top again, though.
I never had a problem with Richmond.
Really?
Yeah, Jesse did, because obviously West Coast were a contender at the same time. I've never had an issue with Richmond once.
I used to hate Adelaide growing up because of the 98 grand final.
Showing your age.
Yeah, pretty much.
My issue was St Kilda, and I think it's because it's
What?
I think it's
rate
the
it.
only club that I like North. It was like at the time when growing up, it was the most comparable club.
Oh,
On
okay.
paper.
Yeah, got ya.
Yeah, that's
As far so
probably
pretty
why.
uh,
much premierships, you just saw us as the same.
Oh,
same
just
level.
like small, fairly irrelevant Victorian-based club. And they never capitalised on their success in 9, 10, 11,
Yep.
but they carried on like they did.
Yeah,
So that was a bit embarrassing for them. But I mean, I've never seen us be anywhere near that. So
I love the little drive by.
Oh,
Horn
Horn
Francis
Francis
had
just
his
got his
head
head-
taken off.
That's exactly what I was going to say. Few Hawks players have an aura of entitlement. Never forget Watson telling people on Insta to F off after copping flack for not showing up to a children's event because he got smashed the night before. What a specific comment from Rogue Riot. They do though. They carry a bit of
arrogance.
yeah.
I like
I think that's a part of what Hawthorn is.
That's the
I
club.
like it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's their identity. Is that
Yeah.
we have been a good club for so long, which they have.
And I think, like, if you actually put them up against all the other clubs, I know they haven't won the most amount of premierships, but as far as the modern era, they would be the most successful club in the AFL. So they kind of, in some ways, have a right to be arrogant.
Well, West
And
Coast would be in that same discussion.
Yeah.
Same amount of premierships.
would they?
And Geelong,
I mean, West Coast only since the 90s, aren't they?
Late 80s.
87. They were
But
first year in the
like,
comp.
since the 80s, haven't Hawthorn won like
I'm
12
pretty sure
premierships
in the
or
AFL era, because
Yeah.
I don't think Hawthorn won one in the 90s.
no, they didn't. But
They
they won
didn't.
heaps in the 80s.
Yeah, so AFL era, I think
Yeah.
it's West Coast, Geelong, Hawthorn.
But yeah, if you take it back another 10, I guess.
But West Coast have that arrogance, or they did have that
Yes.
arrogance as well.
yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
But maybe arrogance just comes from my,
I like it.
insecurities that I have not got a premiership and I'm sad about it. So maybe they're not arrogant; they're just confident.
It's also like the geography as well, right? It's like the eastern suburbs of Melbourne, pretty uppity fans. Hawthorn.
Yes, that is true. Hawks won in '91 against West Coast. So how many
correct. Yeah.
flags AF era?
He's on the. What else we got in the comments here?
There's plenty going on in there.
Rogue Riot, Kane Corns makes a living doing it. I don't know what that's in answer to.
That'd probably be about just like bringing pressure on players and that type of thing.
Yeah.
Also,
Yeah,
Hawks have
okay.
won 5, so they're the most.
Since AFL era.
They are.
Yeah, okay. Plus a lot in the 80s.
Yeah.
Yeah. Must be nice.
Yeah.
Yep.
To be honest, though, and I said this on your channel, Marnie, when we did the interview,
Yeah.
me growing up, until I was about 10 years old, we were winning all the premierships.
Yeah, we were so
that was
good
two.
in the 90s. Yeah.
But it was my life. We were in every prelim. We were
Yeah.
in grand finals.
We made 7 prelims in a row
Yeah.
That's crazy.
from 93 to
Yeah. And we had the best player in the competition.
whatever it was.
We were
Yeah.
always you always thought in that era that if North, they could be down by 5 goals, which was a lot more in those times.
Yeah,
And they could win.
still come back. Yeah. I think we also Wayne Carey obviously is one of the best players to ever play the game, but the players who played alongside him.
Yeah. There's a lot of good
It's
players.
just a list of just stars. Honestly, there's 10 to 12 genuine stars.
Who's your, outside of Carey, who's your favourite from that period?
Glenn Archer, but I think that's probably to a point a cliche answer as well. I love Mick Martin.
Martin.
Love Mick Martin. Just a boulder in defence.
Yeah. It's so funny watching those players now. They just get the ball and just kick the shit out of it
Yeah.
to get it out of the
Oh, yeah,
defence.
absolutely. He's probably, I loved him. Obviously, Corey McKernan, then you got David King,
yeah.
Anthony Stevens, Adam Simpson,
I mean,
Craig Scholl. I love Brett Allison. I mean, I was too young to remember any of this. This is just replays and stuff I've watched.
Yeah.
Winston Abraham, Byron Pickett, Choppy Bell.
did you know I had a
Shannon
dog when I was
Grant.
younger called Winnie after Winston Abraham?
Love that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just all those names. I mean, that's a dozen already.
Yeah.
John Blakey, Martin Pike. This is just, it's actually Darren Crocker.
Willie. Won't he?
This is
Over to
actually
you,
a
Dylan.
piss take now. I'm just having a coughing fit over here.
Dylan's had a cough for 8 months.
Yeah.
8 months.
No, it's
That's
not 8
that's
months.
putting mayo on it. Maybe like 3.
Yeah, I think that was more like 3.
Yeah, okay.
I'm not dying.
There's a minute 55 left in this quarter.
I don't know
and
if I've watched any of this game.
Hawthorn, yeah, that's what happens on the live stream sometimes. You get caught up in the sauce.
Get carried away.
Gunston kicked the first for the Hawks, and he may kick the second. He's looking for a target.
This is 1 goal in a half for Hawthorn.
Analysis.
1 goal in a half. 3 shots. Well, no, not 3 shots. 3 scoring shots.
Just wanted to put a bit of spit on the hand.
Yeah, nice.
Now, if there was any time that a team needed a goal, it'd probably be now when you're 71 points down in a half. Bang.
He's
Nice.
kicked that. Jeez.
That's a great goal.
That's a good kick off
Comeback
the football.
starts now.
That's a classy finish. Ken Peacock says basketball is all about 3-point shooting. I can't remember what that's in relation to.
Hugh
So
Greenwood.
let those slide, Dylan. Let those slide.
Rogue Wright says a few Hawks players have an aura of entitlement. Never forget Watson telling people on Insta to F off.
Yeah.
I read that.
You already read
Yeah,
that.
yeah, we had
Well,
to
I control the chat, Dylan. No.
Yeah, sorry.
We need to revisit that. It was
I
such
was
an
just
important
having
point.
a look.
Yeah, you're right, mate. Just make sure.
You've gone through all this stuff.
There was one I missed. A Lions fan said that the Hawks have long been their least favourite team. Definite air of arrogance, which is born through success.
Yep.
Yeah. The Hawks also won flags in '89, so they won one in all throughout the '80s.
89 was like, that's gone down in
One of
history
the
as one of the
best
best ones.
grand finals of all
Yeah.
time.
Ablett kicked 7,
He won the Norm Smith, I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure, that day.
losing grand final. And that was the
Played
Dermy
in
Brereton.
5 losing grand finals.
Ablett.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. I didn't know it was that
Pretty
many.
sure. Never won one.
That's crazy. A player that good.
Yeah. Bit like Nick Subban, really.
It is a bit like Nick Subban.
Like the
Similar
direct, it's actually a
timelines.
direct comparison.
I forgot about Nick Subban.
Yeah. No, I haven't.
Rate him?
Yeah, he was all right. Little left foot, sort of half forward flanker, I reckon. Yeah, big subs.
We giving Hawthorn any chance here?
No.
57 seconds to go in the half.
If they can score one more.
Oh,
here we
we've got
go.
a free kick.
Here we
They're only
go.
going to be 10 goals down if this goes through.
Meek. Druzy hates Meek.
Why?
No, I don't. Don't put words in my mouth.
Why
bro.
do you hate him?
Drews.
I don't hate him. I actually really like him. I met him at a nightclub one night. We had a great chat.
The reason that I said that is because Meek used to play for...
He did just play for Fremantle.
There
Dockers,
are
yeah.
ex-Dockers players that I don't like, and Meek isn't one of them.
Who?
Adam Chera, Rory Lobb, Blake Acres.
Griffin Logue.
Nah.
Darcy Tucker?
Oh, well, I don't dislike him. He's just a bit of a crab, isn't he?
Crab. Just a bit of a crab.
Poor Darcy.
Lloyd, that'll go. That's a goal.
There you go. Goals.
Bang.
Comeback is on.
If they can get another one here, that would be
This
handy.
could happen, Marnie.
Yeah. I was at the North Melbourne Collingwood game.
What
Round
was the margin? 54?
Round 14 last year. Yep.
Oh,
54 points up early in the
was
third.
horrendous.
Lost by a point.
Well,
Don't
this
know
is
why.
59, so...
You never know.
Was that like the biggest comeback ever?
no. Essendon versus North. 2001.
One.
Yep.
That was like 10 goals or something. One of the biggest.
It's always us. We're
we
always
had
involved.
some pretty epic comebacks ourselves, though.
We have. Yeah.
We were 40 points down against the Swans, round 19, 2004
I
at the
know.
SCG.
Jeez, you tested me there.
And Corey Jones kicked the winning goal
There's
from
a
the boundary.
name. There's a name.
It was when Stephen Quartermain and Michael Christensen were the 1-2 punch in the commentary box on Channel 10.
We should replay this.
Jones scored.
Fuck,
Kangaroos in front.
You're testing me
It was
here.
Glenn Archer's 250th game.
Yeah, right.
We also played Port in 2005 in Canberra at Manuka Oval. And we were 40 points down at halftime. We ended up winning the game. Troy Makepeace kicked the winning goal on the run.
Was that a Winnie Abraham masterclass game? Did he take mark of the year?
That was 98 in Canberra in the morning. This is 2005.
I'm just
He's
timelines are
trying,
off.
guys. He's trying. It's fine.
Timelines are off.
About 5-6
Oh,
That's
it's half
half-time.
time.
years. Okay, it is halftime.
59-point margin. If Hawthorn win this, it'll be the greatest comeback ever. Did you play this week, Druzy? We did address this. I did play, and we lost by 180 points.
Talk about it again.
I mean, I don't
He had
really
15
have
touches.
to. Yeah. I reckon
Druzy
roughly
was great.
15.
15 touches.
Yeah.
How many marks?
I reckon about 4.
Any tackles?
Nah.
That's all right.
No, I actually feel like I have like some sort of like magnetic like repulsion away from tackling. Like I just never find myself in the position to tackle. Like going into it, I was like, I'm going to tackle someone today.
You did for a soft bump though.
Yeah, well, that's hardly a tackle. But I sort of just like corral, and then they just have no issue getting.
I wasn't a big physical player either. Like I wasn't a tackler. The only ones I would get were like chase down tackles.
Yeah,
just a bit
of pace,
and just run someone down. But that was comfortable because then they sort of just collapse in your arms.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice,
You know
what I mean?
cute.
Yeah.
Cuddle on the field.
Oh, we could all use a cuddle sometimes.
The worst ones are when someone's actually coming at you at force and you're like, I have to lay a tackle because I can't just get out of the way even though I want to.
Yeah. No.
And yeah, that is it. I saw somebody write in there, what does this do to Hawthorn's power rankings?
Yes.
Where do they fall? Because they've been number 1 on our rankings in past videos. What are you saying, Drews? Where are the Hawks now?
Should we just go through our power rankings 1 to whatever we get up to?
I think we should.
Let's do our top 4. And I'm going to get up the ladder, which is usually a good way to do the power rankings because you can just go, oh yeah, Gold Coast on the top, but I won't do that. So power rankings, I feel like you got to have a little bit of recent history play into it a little bit. Like,
Yep.
Yeah.
It's not just form.
yeah, so the Lions would be top. They've won the premiership. They're 5-0. Even when they're down in games, I was watching the Doggies game yesterday when the Doggies was sort of having that run all over them. And I was like, you just know Brisbane are going to win this by 4 goals. And they did. Second, I would probably still have the Giants, who are currently sitting in third. They're 4-1. Just firepower all over the park. Forward line's a joke. You know, everyone knows how stacked the Giants list are, so I'd go Giants second.
So Brisbane first, Giants second.
Yeah.
Where do you sit on that money?
No, I would agree with that.
Yeah,
Because I'm the same.
all right,
Yeah.
sweet.
Nothing's changed for me. I think Brisbane, what they've done, it couldn't be any better. Coming off the back of a premiership, you would have expected them to drop.
This is also the first time in their history they've gone 5 zip to start the season.
And they look
Outrageous.
You mentioned a magnet about tackling before.
Yeah.
They've got a magnet for the ball being in their half when they're down. Whatever I just said then. I don't know what I just said.
All right,
It's all right, just go with it.
They
It's all
score
good.
when they're
Rankings
down. But best small forwards in the comp.
Oh,
Zach
yeah.
Bailey, Cam Rayner, Lohman,
Kyle
Archie.
Lohman, yeah.
Killing it.
Freo would like to chuck their hat in that ring, but I'll digress.
Spew.
So who's your third team? Start at that end. Bring it down.
For me, it's hard to say anything other than Hawthorn here based on what they've done up until this point. But Will Day, that changes things for me. That massively changes things. And I think I have to upgrade Gold Coast on what
Gold
they've
Coast,
done.
Hop, Hawthorn.
Yep. And I know
Dang.
I'm not taking that historical context there because I'm basing it off this season. They've never won anything. They've never even made finals, have they?
No.
Yeah. So, yeah, Gold Coast at 3 for me. What they're doing from a midfield point of view, Anderson, Rao, they look pretty balanced all over the park. Flanders, Humphreys, those kind of guys. I love what they're doing.
Marnie, who would you have in your third spot? For
I'm
the power
salty
rankings?
about yesterday, so I'm not going to say Gold Coast.
I love that. I love it. Proper nuffy.
Yeah, that's what I'm here for.
Yeah, I love that.
Maybe Collingwood.
I was gonna say
Just to
Collingwood.
throw a different name. Like, I think Hawthorn, it's hard to argue going into tonight that they would have definitely been somewhere in the top 4. This is just a complete capitulation here to finish off gather round. I would say Collingwood. I've really enjoyed what Collingwood have put together so far
I'm
this
going to
season.
second that. I'm going to say Collingwood are probably... Like, if Gold Coast and Collingwood played tomorrow at the MCG, I'd have more faith that Collingwood would get the job done. I think their forward line... We're having this discussion at the Carlton game that we went to, Deal. Like, Collingwood's forward line is probably better than it was in the premiership year with the addition of... only memory to come into that, but like the fitness of McStay again.
Yeah.
Lockie Schultz sort of is like interchangeable for Jack Ginnivan, but he's probably a more tough player.
Gives
Jamie
them more
Elliott.
depth, yeah.
Jamie Elliott's playing as good as ever.
Yep.
Myercheck.
Yeah, Myercheck.
Myercheck's a good player.
He's
Just
a great player. And he's always been good, but I feel like he's better now that he's got the right support around him. Because Collingwood's forward line for a really long time was just so average.
Yeah. Darcy Cameron's having a really good season in the ruck too.
Yeah,
I think
he
he's
is.
been overplayed a little bit in the media, saying that he's like
Because he plays for Collingwood.
second coming of Max Gawn. Like that's not happening.
That's probably a
But
bit
he's a
dramatic.
good ruckman.
Still, Sidebottom's having an unbelievable season as
He
well.
is, and Pendles is still playing pretty good footy as well.
Yeah, I'd love him to not.
What do you mean?
Because I don't want him to overtake Boomer's games record.
Oh yeah.
Fair play. All right, so we've gone Brisbane Giants Pies.
Is
You've
it weird
gone
to
with
say
Gold
that
Coast.
Collingwood are actually going under the radar a bit this season?
Collingwood?
Yeah.
I think they are.
Yeah, because I feel like for them it's just that they know how to win and
Yeah.
they've got the list. It's just like where's their ceiling?
I'll give you one rebuttal to my favourite word.
Here we
Rebuttal.
go.
I just started using that a lot last week. One rebuttal, second key position defender to Darcy Moore.
Yes, defensive stocks.
Yep.
Yeah.
Concerning.
It's a concern.
July, August time. Watch Collingwood maybe fall down the power rankings. Let's round it out. I'd probably, Gold Coast, Cats. Probably based on this year, I haven't been able to fault Gold Coast, so I'd say Gold Coast probably round out my top four. Marnie, what do you think?
Wait, so do you have Collingwood at 3?
I had Collingwood.
We
We
have Collingwood
both
at
had Collingwood 3.
And I had Gold Coast at 3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'll go.
What do you reckon for fourth, Marnie?
I'm going to say Geelong.
Yep, fair.
I just don't want to acknowledge the Gold Coast at all.
All their fans are going to be really angry.
All 7 of them.
Yes.
I actually can say that as well. It's like the only club I can really say that against. I'll say Geelong. I like Geelong. And Geelong, with the exception of that game against St Kilda a few weeks back, they always just find a way to get it done.
Well, did they lose 2, Geelong?
They've lost 2. They lost
they've
to the
lost
Saints
2.
and to
Was it the Crows?
Brisbane.
No. Yeah.
Brisbane.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's not looking.
But I feel like with Geelong, like you can just never, like they'll always end up in the top 8 somewhere. Like you can basically pencil that in.
There's still a lot of quality in that team. I just reckon they're such a good club, how they've been able to build up with those new players coming through, like guys like Dempsey and
O'Sullivan?
Sullivan.
What a freak. O'Sullivan.
O'Sullivan.
The fact that Dangerfield can just play full forward and
He's
they'll
a
just set
freak,
up a
Dangerfield.
contest.
We actually
for
haven't
him.
even spoken about that.
We'll finish the power rankings chat and then get on to Dangerfield. But O'Sullivan has mainly played as like a halfback sort of key defender or like third tall type so far. But in that Adelaide game when they were chasing goals, and Adelaide were phenomenal in that game. I was watching that second
a great
quarter
game.
like, how are Geelong going to win this? The fact that they swung that around, crazy.
And ended up winning by
But there was
19
a point of the
points.
game where they plonked Dangerfield full forward and they were just like, O'Sullivan, go there, make a contest, and Dangerfield would just do the rest.
He's got the athleticism to actually get up the ground. I actually think, to bring this back to North again, that's kind of what North want to do with Matt Whitlock.
Yeah,
Just
okay.
that really athletic key defender that can run off and give you that offensive threat as well. But they're just ridiculous. So I'd probably have Geelong there as well, to be honest. But that means none of us have Hawthorn in the top 4.
Well, how can you after this? Half of football.
Well, yeah, you sort of go back to the first 4 rounds of the season. I'd have... Did I say Gold Coast 4th? I did say Gold Coast 4th. I'll go Geelong 5th to quickly round it out. Cats 6th, and then that's just the ladder. Crows 7th, and then I'd
What were you,
want to chuck
Marlon?
Freo top 8? Yeah, we'll
What
chuck
were you?
Freo top 8
So
in the
I
power rankings.
said, what did I even say?
Brisbane Giants. I think we all did
Brisbane
that.
Brisbane,
Giants,
Giants, Collingwood, Geelong.
Collingwood, Geelong.
Give me 3 more. There's
I
the
would
ladder there for
say
reference.
Hawthorn,
Yeah.
Suns, Crows,
And...
Flag Mantle.
Yes!
Don't do
Well
it.
said. We're going to be friends. We're going to get on just
They beat
great.
no one.
I love Fremantle.
Really?
Oh, keep
Yeah,
talking.
I have a Nat 5 t-shirt.
Oh, now you're really
You know,
tickling me.
I lived in Perth for
Oh,
just
that's
over a
right,
year,
that's
so I've got
right.
a big soft spot for both WA clubs. Actually,
Whereabouts in Perth?
I lived in Mount Hawthorn,
Very
in the
nice.
inner north.
Yep, very nice.
Beautiful place,
And
Perth.
why did you prefer Fremantle over West Coast?
Massive Nat 5 fan, also
Yeah.
massive David Mundy fan.
Great
Oh, I
answer.
used to
Just
love
loved
David
that
Mundy.
man so much.
What did you love about David?
What's not to love? He's an absolute gentleman.
Okay.
The way he
Very
just carries
surfy
himself,
vibes.
just the way he carries himself. We, We went to his 300th game, Monday 300.
Yeah, against the Dogs.
Yeah.
Great game.
That was a Brandon Matera legacy game. He just flonked himself in the goal square and kicked like 5 or something. All square at halftime, then Freo just blew him out of the water in the second half.
Dave Mundy kicked a third or fourth quarter goal from 50.
Just beautiful. Yeah.
Great time to be alive.
Yeah.
True Footy says Pies will be higher than Hawthorn on the ladder if they lose by this margin.
Yeah.
So right now,
Yeah.
They're
wow.
both 4-1. So on the live ladder right now, it's Brisbane, Gold Coast, GWS, Collingwood, and then Hawthorn are in 5th.
but that's because Hawthorn have played one less, right?
No, they haven't.
The only side
played
that has
opening
played
round.
one less is Gold
It's
Coast.
Gold Coast.
Oh, wow. And they're still on top.
No, they're second.
They're second.
Brisbane are top.
Oh, but yeah, of
We
course,
don't
of course.
acknowledge them.
We
Yeah,
acknowledge
interesting.
We can acknowledge them once this round is over.
them. How's this for a comment that we're not going to go into, but it's just funny to read out?
no.
Do you guys think men should be able to compete in women's sports if they say they are a woman? We don't need to
Moving
say anything,
swiftly
but that's
along.
just funny. So that's the power rankings done. Patrick Dangerfield, Dylan.
Patrick Dangerfield, Druzy.
Crazy.
His game was incredible. And I think this really opens up this conversation about those types of midfielders, those athletic types with physicality, with explosiveness in their game. I don't know, he was unbelievable. He won pretty much every forward 50 contest that he had, wound back the clock. But I think he's been playing like this pretty consistently, even in the flag in, 2022 when they won the premiership?
Yeah,
He was just
22.
as good in that, from a midfield perspective.
freak.
He's just an absolute freak. I think he's one of the best players in the history of the game for me.
Yeah.
Definitely the modern
Did I
era.
go too big? I got a bit excited.
I don't think he's the best.
One of. You could put him in discussion.
Yeah,
Definitely
he'd
in the
be
modern
hat.
era.
Like if you
Sure.
were doing like a top 10 list, he'd probably
How many premierships? Only one.
22.
He won 22
Yeah.
premierships.
No, 20. Good, Druzy. That's what you're here for.
Yeah, that's how you pay the big bucks.
So
but
where
that-
would you put him then?
Where would I put him?
Yeah.
He's 5 doing his hammy today. Not good to see. I just love that his game has evolved for him to just
Yes.
sit full forward, and he pretty much won them the game off his own boot. That was very impressive. I feel like this is a bit of the last dance for Dangerfield, though. I don't know how much longer he can do it. I don't know when he's contracted, if he's contracted another year or whatever. But
Do you think he
Yeah.
can make All Australian this year?
nah.
You don't.
No.
Because of the role or because of the
Yeah, I feel like-
deficiencies?
Sorry, I'm just being informed with footy news here. That's Paddy Voss, who looks like he's going to get rubbed out.
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
Can't be doing that.
What about the delayed head swing from Vlosten, though?
Yeah, he milked it, didn't he?
A little bit. Okay,
He's a
hold
loser.
on, hold-
No.
we can't go back, can we?
I think sometimes
The
that's
the action is not good. He will go for that, but then the head swing only came 5 seconds later.
I think sometimes you can react to that though. You don't feel it necessarily instantly, and then
I
you
don't know.
kind
I've
of
never
go-
been hit in the face, so I can't speak from experience.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like that's harsh on Vlosten.
But okay,
What
Where
we
were we?
Danger?
Paddy.
Dangerfield. I don't really have the facilities to rank him right now in a top 10 list, but he's definitely been in that. Well, you always think Dangerfield, Fife, Dusty. I'd take Dusty first,
I'd take Dusty first
and then
as well.
Yeah.
Danger. Oh,
Fife's
that
the-
actually pains me to say.
that's not even close.
What, Fife and Dangerfield isn't close?
Nah.
The 2-time Brownlow medalist isn't close to the 1-time Brownlow medalist. Okay,
How
Dylan
how
Alexander.
how Dangerfield's been able to extend his career?
Yeah, no, that's fair.
That again, it's they were similar type midfielders at one point in their career, but Fife has just declined so heavily. I know that's a
Yeah.
lot down to injury. I think there is a part of that too that's down to Nathan Fife's kicking.
Yeah, well, Dangerfield's game has evolved
Yeah,
into that forward role, and Fife's never did.
yeah.
But at their best, one-on-one in the midfield, Fife is probably better than Dangerfield.
Yeah, I think there's probably an argument of that.
And there was that game in 2013, 2014, Freo relevance era, where Fife and Dangerfield went toe-to-toe all game.
Yeah.
And it was one of the best games ever.
Yeah.
And Fife came out on top with 3 votes that day as well.
Where do you think Patrick Cripps fits into this discussion now? Dual Brownlow medalist?
Well,
I don't care. I give nothing to Brownlows. Druzy and I argue about this all the time because Druzy
Yeah, but
thinks
you can't take away from the players that have won the Brown. Like, I'd say, yeah, like Cripps is probably in the same camp as...
Cripps is not even the best player in the comp now.
No, but I just think with Cripper, like I think you look at Dusty at his peak.
These are big calls coming out.
I think if Dusty at his peak, Richmond were flying. Fife at his peak.
Freo were struggling. And it was...
the first time round they were flying.
Yeah, first Brownlow
round.
flying.
They weren't struggling.
Yeah, we finished like 13th and we were dog shit under Ross Lane in 2019 when we sacked him.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So second time round, maybe not as good. And then, I mean, Patrick Dangerfield's just had success follow him pretty much his whole career.
But only the one premiership.
Sure, but the team, I mean, he was at Adelaide in a successful period and then Geelong's always been successful.
Was Dangerfield in the 17 granny for Adelaide?
No.
He'd already left there.
He'd left already.
The year before he left.
Yeah, okay.
So with Cripper, I mean...
He'd be in the Fife camp. He'd be in the Fife camp.
He's carried Carlton through so much shit.
100%. I don't
think people give him the credit. I think if he was playing in a Carlton side, and Carlton had a fairly good end to last season, sure, but if he was playing in a side that was genuinely in that premiership contention for a few years there, I think we'd speak about him a lot differently than we do now.
I almost take that into consideration though. I know like that's obviously can't be just put on him solely that he's in poor teams, but the players that get the opportunity to be in those big moments, they get to show you what they do in the biggest moments. And that's where like Dusty Martin is pretty much top for me.
Yeah.
Just because of what he did in grand finals. Like,
also Gary Ablett Jr. is another one.
Oh, he's
but maybe, I think he kind of transcends. I feel like he sits in his own category almost.
Yeah, he's a bit godlike, isn't he?
Yeah.
A little bit, yeah.
I feel like Dusty was a player that never... Every time I watched him play, he'd never lose a one-on-one contest. Like, not even just like big grand final moments, but just like throughout the season, it's like Dusty's got the ball, this is going to result in a goal or an effective kick.
He was the like epitome of that impact player because you didn't always get the volume. He wasn't the guy getting 30 touches every week.
And I think for Dusty, the one thing that maybe, I mean, we know his football's not enough talking, but you look at the other guys like a Ablett or a Dangerfield or a Fife, like these guys, they've been really present in terms of their personalities contributing to the game as well. Whereas Dusty just didn't want to borrow it.
Do you take that into consideration in this discussion?
No, because I think Dusty was just a phenomenal footballer. But I do think that maybe sometimes that puts players into the frame or, on the other hand, removes them from the frame. Maybe they're on the fence a little bit.
To round this out, who would you say is the GOAT of the AFL era then?
You know what's funny? One player we haven't even discussed in this.
Hugh Greenwood.
You always never miss a chance, Marnie.
That's funny.
I was going to say Chris Judd because I reckon when he burst on the West Coast, that was one of the craziest things I've ever seen, just the way that he used to get out of stoppage.
Also Ben Cousins. Like there's plenty of players we haven't spoken about.
I wouldn't put Ben Cousins quite, like for me, not in the same category. Like he was a phenomenal player, but just, I think Chris Judd changed that idea of like the stoppage and how you could like deal with the stoppage with your speed and explosiveness. So
do you actually know who I'd have as the GOAT? And there's I'd probably have him and Dusty maybe at the top. I'd actually say Buddy Franklin.
It's a good,
it's weird though because Sydney were always better when Buddy Franklin wasn't in the side, weirdly.
That's late though, right?
Yeah.
Late career.
But like he never took them to the promised land.
Yeah.
He was never like... It was never like, oh God, like we're missing Buddy. Like I don't know, they sort of were all right without him. Anyway.
He's another one for me where I agree with you, and it's like the lack of winning. Even though he did win premierships, the lack of winning is probably a mark against him. But he did transcend the sport in a way, like that type of forward.
Yeah,
the GOAT for me is undoubtedly Dustin Martin. For sure.
I think that's where I am as well.
Yeah, 3 flags, Norm Smiths. Brownlow.
Like 3 Norm Smiths.
Yeah, it's
that'll never be done again.
No. Jesse chimed in with Tom Mitchell, Adam Cooney, Ollie Wines, Matt Prittis are definitely not better than Bontempelli. I agree with Dylan on the Brownlow, but I'm just saying, like, you don't disregard the fact that Paddy Cripps has won 2 Brownlows. I just think, he still won.
Can't believe Matt Prittis won a Brownlow.
Can you name 3 better players in the competition than Paddy Cripps
right now?
Yeah. Go on.
Nick Dacos, Jeremy Cameron, Isaac Heaney.
Nah, Jeremy Cameron's not better.
I wouldn't say
than Cripps
Jeremy Cameron
now.
at the moment.
Isaac Heaney isn't at the moment.
Isaac Heaney. Like best, as in like playing better football right now.
And are we exclusively talking about the midfield? The game's back on, by the way.
Yeah, it is. What's the margin?
59 points.
Bont isn't playing. Well, maybe not this season, but like going into this season. Last year, Paddy Cripps was off the chain good. Ridiculously good.
Cripps?
Yeah, he just put the Blues on his back and it was like some of the most inspiring thing I've ever seen.
No, I think going into this season, he was definitely one of the ones to watch for sure.
Here's a question. Sorry to tangent again.
Can I just give you one more player that's better than Paddy Cripps right now?
Go.
Sam Darcy.
Yeah,
Sam Darcy's a freak.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where does Matt Taberner fit into? No.
Stop it. Stop it.
The Hawks are quietly on. Nick Watson brings it out of the
How far did
stands.
he run there? Jeez.
Oh, Sicily, little inverted handball. Nick Watson into Massimo. Left foot, inside 50. Oh, he was back and back. Farrell. Aaliyah tackled. Marais. Oh, that was such a slick handball.
Yeah, he's clean.
And they've barreled it out. There was, your Patrick Cripps. Carlton are in turmoil, right? Won one game against West Coast, so they've basically not won a game all season. The list management decisions are starting to look a little bit dicey. Harry Mackay doesn't really want to play. There's culture issues at the club. There's a disconnect between the fans. You're Paddy Cripps. You're the face of it all. At what point do you say, this isn't going to work? I want to win a premiership and go somewhere else? Or do you just go, I'm a prideful man and I ride it out?
He'll never leave Carlton.
I don't. Yeah. Which is it? The question: do I think he should, or do I think he would?
Both. We should.
Okay, we'll explore both.
Or
then.
should he leave?
Should he leave?
Not yet, but at what point? Like, there's players that have gone entire AFL careers and out of pride, not left, and not won flags. So, do you want to be that guy? Do you want to be the nice guy that never won the flag?
No.
Or do you want to...
Well, I'll give you... What about the Luke Ball example? So Luke Ball, St Kilda legend, leaves and goes to Collingwood and wins a flag against his old club. I don't think that would have... I don't know if that seriously would have fulfilled him.
Really?
Yeah.
I actually think that...
would've.
I think the context involved in that one is a bit different though, because the grand final... There was sort of murmurings leading up to it as well that he was kind of losing his midfield spot. Like Ross Lyon wasn't really rating him in the mix. Because who else they had? They had Del Santo, Montagna.
Yeah.
Hayes. Yeah, even Goddard would have rolled through there at times as well.
Peak.
Yeah, actually. More of a winger, but he would have at times. Ex-Freo. Mm-hmm. So I remember the grand final, the one that they...
The draw or the replay?
Was it the Geelong one? Because he was already at Collingwood in the draw, right? Ball.
Was he?
Yeah, he won that with Collingwood.
Yeah,
the draw, as in like he won the replay.
Yeah, but when did Luke Ball go? Because St Kilda Geelong was
the year
2009.
before.
Yeah,
it was the year before. So that was the grand final where like he had like really low time on ground. Pretty much when the game was on the line, he was left out. He was put on the bench, left out of the side, and he kind of saw it as he was unwanted in that midfield. So I think in a way he probably would have told himself that was him getting back at them for not wanting him.
Oh, Georgiades.
I would love to know. I'd love to ask him that question.
Luke
one day
Ball was
if I
captain
ever-
when he left? Is that true?
No.
Craig Combridge said that. It would have been Nick Revolt, wouldn't it?
Surely.
Rogue Wright said Luke Ball was pushed out by the Saints.
Yeah, that was my understanding of it.
Like, yeah, I mean, it depends. I don't know. Like, it depends, I guess. And obviously, there's a lot of history with St Kilda and Luke Ball and what happened, what didn't happen, whatever. But I don't know. Like, I wonder if it was like a bit of a bittersweet one for him because he cried at the end of that grand final.
The fact that it was against St Kilda.
Well, that's the thing.
That's
like,
crazy as well.
Crazy, right?
Yeah. Yeah, that's absolutely mental.
Yeah.
I
But
need to charge my laptop.
go for it, mate. Do you think though it's a bit different for Cripps because he I suppose like Luke Ball in a way he's a St Kilda legend. Like he went through that successful period with them. But Cripps is undoubtedly a Carlton legend.
Yeah, I don't think he would ever leave.
Do you think he should?
Not necessarily. Just refusing Carl. I don't think Carlton's in as big of a hole as people make them out to be.
No.
I don't think that. Do I think a flag at this point for Carlton in 2025 is achievable? Probably not. Do I think the season's completely bust? No, not necessarily. They could still turn it around.
Yep.
Plug space, sorry.
What's that,
I
man?
was charging this last time, but now it's like...
You just need to get that to reach there.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Hang on.
Give us a moment, everyone.
You take the fort, Druzy.
I'll drive. My laptop is about to die. So in like 3 years' time, let's say Carlton have gone to a complete shambles and you're
Yeah.
Patrick Cripps, you just go, I'm going to stay and ride this out.
Yeah, sometimes because it also depends on like what they see fulfillment and success is. It could look different to everyone.
Yeah. I think everyone wants a flag.
Of course, sure. But then also like for him, it's like what if they're like I don't think Carlton's in a dire position where I still think this list is capable of, doing really big things.
I don't.
Why?
They're showing it now. Like they're not really... They don't have the depth. Their midfield's all the same. Tom de Koning's looking pretty likely to leave. They've got salary cap issues.
Koning will leave?
It's looking like it. Apparently St Kilda are
sniffing hard.
they're growing in confidence, and St Kilda are probably giving TDK an offer that's double or probably at least double, I think. Like
A lot of money.
so it's like why do you stay at a club where the culture's currently not looking too good?
Sometimes it's just not logical.
I don't think they can win a flag in the next 3 to 4 years. Yeah. Unless they somehow got into the trade period and picked up like some serious ballers to get into that lineup.
I think letting Matty Kennedy walk was a big blunder on their behalf. He's had a really good start to the year at the Bulldogs.
Yeah, but they're at the same time like they had salary cap issues because of the fact that they're paying like it feels like they're paying everybody so much money at the moment, and they're having that same problem with some of these guys who are like coming through the ranks, getting better. But kind of what we're talking about with the Maynard thing, where at the moment that you do it, it doesn't necessarily hurt you.
It's the forward planning.
It catches, exactly. It catches up with you later.
Yeah.
Should he leave though? It is a difficult one because like he's for me
He's
he's
Carlton.
absolutely a legend of that football club. Like, but what would I don't know. I'd probably rather a premiership still. Like if you could get the opportunity to win it. Yeah. I think the fact that he's Western Australian, if he did get over to one of the
he's not going to go to WA to win a flag.
Well, that's the thing. Yeah, that's the you're not going to go to West Coast.
Well, maybe he goes to West Coast and plays with Harley Reed and wins a flag.
Maybe. I don't know.
You're just dismissing the opportunity for flag mantle. The possibility
Yeah, but we
for flag
don't
mantle.
need Paddy Cripps to win a flag.
Yeah, like
Here come the Hawks.
where could Patrick Cripps walk into right now, make them kind of ultimately propel them to win a flag?
North.
That's actually not a bad shout. It's
don't
actually
think
not a bad shout.
Really?
He's exactly the kind of player that North need.
Do you
We
think
need
so?
plenty of players.
Do you think
but
though more from a spiritual point of view than a?
I just think he can do it all.
Yeah, kind of though. I don't think he can do it all. I think he's a bit of he's a butcher by foot. So
Fit riding at North Melbourne.
yes,
Who,
exactly.
Cripps is a butcher by foot.
Yeah, he's a shock and kick.
It's not
I
his
wouldn't say
strong suit.
shocking. I'd say like average.
He's a contested ball though. Like he can just get, and he's a big frame. Like we don't really have any bigger bodied midfielders. Like there's a couple players just based on their presence that do play bigger than they actually are physically.
Yeah,
But he also can go forward and kick goals.
he does do that.
So
he always hits the scoreboard.
I do think that, and a lot of people think that North's list is really up and coming. So,
Hawks have kicked 3 in a row, by
slot
the
him
way.
in there.
My question
And
to
they
that
get
with
another one
North would
here.
be it's like another midfielder. I know he's a different sort of a midfielder.
He's not just any midfielder. He's Patrick Cripps.
He is.
Could they get 4 in a row here? Sicily swings forward.
Oh wow,
Sorry, this is 4.
guys, the comeback's on.
And you just know Port Adelaide will start panicking now.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, you just saw the look on Ken Hinckley's face, sort of eyes darting around a little bit.
If you're Ken Hinckley and you lose this, I think you just stop working tomorrow. I reckon you just say, all right,
Jeez.
I've had enough. Bang. James Sicily kicks a
Wow.
set shot at Adelaide Oval against Port Adelaide. Shame you couldn't do that last year. Over to you,
Are Port
Dylan.
Adelaide maybe just going to be this team this season where they pretty much beat most at home and then just get done away?
Nah, they don't beat most at home.
Don't they?
They've already lost to St Kilda.
Yeah. Yeah, they just beat the Tigers,
or
didn't they?
maybe they do win. I don't think they're going to make Adelaide Oval a fortress this year.
Nah.
They're going to be an
They'll just be a
annoyingly
bit mid.
inconsistent team this year, I reckon.
They'll
Port.
finish somewhere between like 8 and 7,
Yeah, I
and, 7
can't-
and 12.
I
Yeah.
can't see them making the 8.
4 goals in a row. Here come the Hawks.
Comeback's on.
Where would you put Hawks in the power rankings if they come back and won this?
Oh,
Oh, that's a good
top.
question.
they'd be undefeated.
Yeah.
Top.
Do we all have them out of the top 4? Which is mental
Well,
because
like
I've been
halfway through this game we did.
I
They were
think,
10 goals
like
down
you
at
said,
halftime.
the Will Day,
That's it. Like that is
Yeah.
literally it for me.
it's
Will
47
Day is the
points,
difference.
but they're
He's the
coming.
difference.
Oh my
they're
God,
coming.
they're coming.
Massimo.
Oh.
Oh, no, you can't be doing that. Oh, he's won his own footy back.
That's good. See, not many players at North would do that.
That's who
And-
North need, Marnie. Will Day.
Mass. Oh, I thought you say mass.
I
You
know.
do.
We probably need Mass as well. We need some
We
good
need a few.
wingers.
What's wrong with Dylan Stevens, bro? He comes into my pub and orders a palmy every Friday night with his golden retriever.
He's a great guy, Dylan
True.
Stevens.
I'm sure he's a great guy. For me, I'm not massively wrapped with him being on the wing.
There's a question here. Why is True Footy not on the True Footy channel? Because we've basically changed. Oh, we're collaborating with Jesse. He's going to move here eventually, and he will be a part
Should
of
we
it.
call Jesse?
But nah, we'll leave him to it. He's probably doing some dude stuff.
Some dude stuff. He's in the comments tonight.
Hi, Jesse.
But yeah, Jesse will be on these streams soon. Just not sure when.
If you can Hinckley and lose this, you make a big footy account, hop in the sack. Wait. I'm not going to read that. Is that something?
I want to see the ending of that now.
I don't know if I want to.
Nah, hop in the Sack Hinckley thread and just go, you got it. That's pretty funny.
Oh, I don't get it. I don't get stuff.
I don't get stuff.
Great guy.
What did that mean?
He's saying like, you go in the Sack Ken Hinckley thread and just say like, yeah,
Okay.
that'll happen.
Yeah.
Can they do? Oh, that was Port.
Yeah.
Oh, damn.
Sorry, girl.
Shit. It's only a 53-point margin now.
Walk in the park.
9 goals.
They can do this. I don't feel like I've got a very good handle on this game of what's actually happened. It just feels like an ambush.
It's all been one-way traffic, really, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't really know what the sources of goal have been. I feel like it's been centre clearance
Yeah.
and like stoppages.
Their backline's been really good, though, as well. Port.
Zach Butters back in the team's big for them.
Yeah, massive.
What do you reckon of Ollie Lord as a player?
I haven't seen enough of him, but I know Port fans love him. Like, when I think Ollie Lord, I think back a few years ago where he just had that run of form. But, oh man, Willie
Really?
Rioli.
When Willie Rioli's on, he's on, isn't he?
Yeah, he's a jet. I reckon Willie Rioli and Sam Power Pepper is probably the most underrated 1-2 small forward duo in the competition. People forget how good Sam Power Pepper is. People forget that Willie Rioli is a premiership winning borderline All-Australian player. Like, he's a jet. Willie Rioli is so good. And Sam Power Pepper cracks in more than any other small forward in the comp.
Do you reckon that with those two sort of playing that like higher forward role, they get a little bit, I suppose, like gassed? If you put them up against some of the other small forward teams, of like their lineups of small forwards, like they're a bit sort of...
What, you reckon like Hawthorn small forwards have more aerobic capacity?
Yeah.
than Port?
Yeah, it's a little bit...
How would you measure that though?
Well,
Power Pepper's probably a more explosive
he's
type.
he's more that
Yeah.
impact type, and then Willie Rioli's a bit more of like a deeper forward. Doesn't necessarily get up the ground as much, get involved in the game. Compared to like if you look at that prototypical player like that at the moment, Dylan Moore, who's essentially another midfielder, Alex Neil-Bullen probably as well. Just a different type.
Yeah.
Just interesting.
Yeah, no, that's fair. different sort of body type to your traditional Dylan Moore, Neil Bullen, Switkowski type. Does this game say more about Hawthorn or Port? Shows that Hawthorn are going to miss Will Day dearly.
Yes.
Oh, McGuinness.
I don't reckon this game has massive implications for either team.
McGuinness.
It probably sounds a bit disrespectful, but it doesn't make me think Port are good.
Yeah.
Like
At all.
I just think it's just happening. Like I don't think it really has any.
It's just occurring.
Yeah, I
We're
don't think it
watching
has
it.
any sort of. I don't think it has any implications for either side. I do agree with the Will Day comment for sure.
You're right. No, I agree with you.
But I think that has implications for the fact that that's not fixing anytime soon.
No, of course, but in terms of the result itself,
Yeah.
we've learned that from this game that Will Days are going to be a massive hole for them to try and fix Hawthorn. But in terms of the result and the way the game's been playing out, I don't think the result has any. Unless
We've seen
Hawthorn
Port do this so many times over the years.
It doesn't mean anything.
Yeah.
Like they beat Sydney, who looked unbeatable by 90 points last year.
Yep.
And probably 2 weeks later, people were saying sack Ken Hinckley. Like, I'd love to really buy into this. Like they've beaten an undefeated team at home when everyone's watching. Yeah, it's a great win. It's a massive win, but am I buying Port stocks based on this win? Probably not.
Why are they such a roller coaster ride then, Port Adelaide? Like, how does that happen?
It's just always been, basically under Ken Hinckley, it's always been that way.
Is that
Like,
just...
it's like habit. Like,
That was a throw by Wise.
yeah, that was a massive throw.
It was like a
That
tunnel
was
ball.
like not discreet at all.
He's trying to make a case for it. You're not really.
You're
No
not
one's
getting away
buying
with
it.
I did that
God.
on the weekend. Kicked it out on the 4
Just a
on the
little
wing.
slice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Caden was leading for the ball, and I was like, better reward that. Just
Did he
kicked
give you
it
a
out on the
spray?
floor. No. Nate said Day isn't a 50-point difference player, but he is a fast starter, and he would have halted that sort of surge.
It's not as
that he
it's
had.
not as simple as saying that either. As far as like one player's a 50-point, like, you know what I mean?
If you do try to quantify it, though, he's pretty much kicked 3 goals a game most weeks. So there's 3 goals. You stop a couple clearances going out the other way. He probably is, to be honest.
I mean, he was literally Superman in that game against the Giants.
Yeah. And Sydney.
Yeah.
3 votes against Sydney.
There was just patches where he just turns it on. You can't stop him. I'd love to have Will Day at North. The problem is becoming with Will Day now, just the injuries. They're just mounting up. Like, how much of your career can you have being injured? Is it just, is his body type actually not standing up to, like, playing that role as a midfielder? Can he just not deal with the...
Well, it's like George Wardlaw. It's the same discussion.
Yeah.
Well, Wardlaw seems a bit stockier. Like,
It's
got a bit
different
more
though. They're
muscle
actually
mass.
different. The injuries they're picking up are like Wardlaw's all soft tissue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's that explosivity. With Will Day, it tends to be stuff like stress fractures and things like that,
Yeah.
like hips and
Bone.
yeah.
And he does have a light frame, Will Day.
He does.
As much as he tries to bulk up, like he just is that, I don't know.
wiry.
It's like if you played Lockie Whitfield in the middle of the ground constantly, you'd probably run into similar problems.
Yeah. Well, he does pick up a lot of things as well.
Yeah.
Whitfield, even being an outside
Needs
player.
more calcium.
Yeah.
Needs more
Drink your milk.
More milk.
milk.
Milk
Are we
and
almond
cheese.
milk people here? Or
Sorry?
full cream? Almond milk? With the cream?
Almond.
I'm a fool.
You're a full
Almond.
cream man. Yeah, I'm an almond man.
Almond.
I've gone through stints, but
Unless I'm having a black coffee. If I'm having a black coffee, I'll have full cream milk on the side.
Right.
If I'm having a cappuccino, almond milk.
Good to know.
Yeah.
wait, say that again.
If I'm having a black coffee, I'll have full cream milk on the side.
Oh, wow. So what? Just like
Just like to
a
dip in. But if I'm having a cappuccino, which is my preferred,
which is
then
like
I
a
will-
proper
Yeah,
dosage
then I'll
of
have
milk.
Almond milk.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
What are you pricing the Will Day factor? 2-3 goals. Remember when Port beat Sydney by 112 and Swans still made the grand final? It means nothing. I can guarantee you that one player isn't fixing what is
No, but we
happening today.
did just say that.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
said we don't like. We've learnt that that Hawthorn will miss Will Day, sure, but I don't like. We
Yeah,
don't
it's
think
not the
that
whole
it's not the
problem.
whole
I don't think it's
story.
responsible for this result. Yeah, I'm not saying that. I just mean for me, Hawthorn become a lot like overall in the season and the potential of winning a premiership. you want Will Day there.
Yeah.
And I reckon he's as big an out as nearly any player at any team.
Yeah.
Will Day right now.
He's been one of the best players in the comp.
Oh,
Yeah.
he was absolutely the best player in the comp to start the season, for sure.
Who has been the best players in the comp to start 2025?
Sam Darcy, number 1.
Easy.
Daylight.
Yep. if we did a power ranking on that,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Darcy at
definitely
one, everyone?
Darcy. Yeah, for
Well,
sure.
they're saying Thorpe's in that discussion as well. I haven't really seen as much of him.
Thilthorpe's been good.
Yeah, he's been unreal.
I wouldn't like Darcy's taken the piss
Yeah,
at
Darcy's
times,
a freak.
which like Thilthorpe, it's like, oh yeah, I'm watching a good player here, a very good player.
Yeah.
Whereas Darcy, I'm watching a freak athlete just do crazy things.
Finn Callahan's been
Oh, I love Finn
Up there.
Callahan.
Great.
Yeah,
Matt Rowell.
Yeah.
yeah, you got to put him up there.
He
Yeah,
has gone to another
definitely.
level. And so has Tuke Miller, like in terms of like champion data player ratings and stuff like that, playing a bit of an inside/half forward role. And
That's what, again, Druzy, back to that conversation we had before about the, like that's almost the prototype now. Like that Tuke Miller, a little bit like, pretty much like a midfielder,
Yeah.
a smaller bodied guy that can just run all day.
Yeah.
As opposed to that like traditional type small forward, which is they're still kicking around, but I wouldn't even say every team's got one.
Yeah. So like your Tuke Miller, Sarong, Butters mold.
Yeah, well, I suppose like Sarong and Butters aren't actually playing that role, but
Oh,
that
like
type of player going and playing like the half forward
Oh,
role.
yeah, gotcha.
Yeah. When we're talking about Willie Rioli, but back to the power rankings.
Ah, right.
Darcy, you mentioned
Darcy.
Rao, Tuke.
Yeah, I'd probably say Darcy, Rao.
Rao at 2.
Zach Merritt.
Zach Merritt, good
I haven't
shout.
watched enough Essendon to.
Yeah.
Same. I'd actually phoned a friend.
Do you
to
hate
get them.
Essendon as a North
Yeah,
fan?
I don't love Essendon. I don't really care about other clubs, to be honest.
Yeah, okay.
But I
Goal
credit
Hawthorn.
where credit's due.
does the
Zach
Zach
Merritt's a phenomenal player.
Does Zach Merritt come into this conversation where he's playing awesome footy, but because he's playing for Essendon who aren't picking up the wins, he probably gets marked down a bit?
No, I don't think it should.
I think everyone that knows football knows how good of a player Zach Merritt is. He does have to battle it out in that Essendon side, though, at times. But I think Essendon have improved. Like, Durham.
Durham's a good player.
He's at that.
Yeah.
Oh, he's getting close to breaking through. Bailey Smith would be up there in terms of one of the best players in the comp.
Yeah, he
this
was
year.
incredible against Adelaide.
Yeah.
Jack Sinclair,
Yes.
probably another one off half back, has been a massive part of St Kilda's.
People don't like Jack Sinclair. Like the wider football community does not give Jack Sinclair enough, in my opinion. He's elite.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a great player.
Sarong and Brayshaw's last 3 weeks have been
Oh.
what?
Oh,
What?
well,
What?
nothing.
What?
Keep going.
What have you got to say about Sarong and Brayshaw's start to the season, Dylan?
Well, Sarong and Brayshaw played. They've had 2 wins in a row, right? No, 3.
Three, man.
3 wins in a
3
row.
wins.
2 of those teams have included West Coast
Yeah.
and Richmond.
Doesn't take away from their performance.
No, I suppose it doesn't, but they have. It's not like Sarong. It's not like I've watched Sarong and Brayshaw this year and gone, gee, they're turning it on.
We literally watched them turn it on last week against the Dogs here.
But
Sarong had his highest rated game ever.
yeah, and I don't think we
38
even, during the
disposals
stream
and
we
50.
even mentioned he wasn't even that noticeable in that game.
Yeah.
I think Brayshaw was pretty good in that game though. I'll give you that. What I was going to say though.
They're both in All-Australian discussion.
Oh, really? Oh, after this start, what do you think, Marnie?
I'm not getting in the middle of this.
Well, who would be a starting All-Australian midfield right now? Probably Matt Rao.
Matt Rowell definitely.
Yeah.
Finn Callahan.
Yeah.
He's there for me. And like for me, probably Will Day. Like that's obviously not going to eventuate.
Yeah.
I'd probably, Who else? have we
Noah
got?
Anderson?
Nah.
No.
Nah.
Why not?
Matt Rao's been head and shoulders above him.
I wouldn't say head and shoulders.
This
He
year,
hasn't- I don't think,
yes, he has.
No, and I mean, just thinking about yesterday's game, even though I want to forget about it, Matt Rowell was consistent performance, whereas Noah Anderson was really quiet in the first half and then just came into the game in the second.
They sort of need each other though, those two. Like they're the perfect pair because Rao does all the physical stuff, the bashing, the crashing, and Noah Anderson's a bit more of the cerebral type. You know what I mean? Like he can find a pass, hit it inside forward 50, whereas Rao's not as polished. You know what I mean? As a
a couple others for all Australian discussion. This Bailey Smith, obviously as well.
Yeah, for sure. You'd probably slot him on a wing.
Yeah,
wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Even though everyone knows he's playing more inside, you'd just
Yeah. He's such a ball carrier though.
So I'd probably go Rao. Who did I say before? Rao, Callahan. Yeah, probably put Bailey Smith outside. Has Dacos been in?
He's been good in patches. I don't think he's been.
They glaze him so hard.
They glaze and they glaze.
They do though.
He's
good,
a
phenomenal player. And what he can do is absolutely some of the best in the competition.
Yeah, it does get boring after a while though.
What do you mean? Like his glazes and
they just
too much?
They he's absolutely he's not untouchable.
I think he's the best player I've ever seen.
Really?
Yeah.
Ever seen?
Yeah. At the age that he's doing it, his skill.
Hang on.
Yeah.
Jeez, this is a big take.
Yeah, no, I think he gets all the reps. I think he deserves everything he gets. Same as Sam Darcy. I think these two are freaks.
You've lived through an era of Hugh Greenwood and you're saying that Nick Dacos is the best footballer you've ever seen.
Yeah. Yeah, I am. What did he have the other night?
He's a freak. It's not. I'm not trying to downplay him. What I'm saying is he had 20 odd touches I think on Friday night. He was ordinary on Friday night and he'd be talked up as if it was the best.
He had 34 touches. So he led the. You can't say he's ordinary if he's getting 34 touches.
Oh no, okay, so no, not this week, obviously.
I sort of
do you know what I mean though? I think they'll add 20 to 25% onto every single game that he plays, and it's not
because
say,
it's his touches aren't like Lockie Neal touches or Tom Mitchell touches where it's in and under little sideways handballs. His are kicks at he threatens with every disposal that he has. And then when he's off the ball, he puts himself in the perfect position to be used again. Works back well defensively. He's always an outlet.
I think he is that good, but I also think there's glaze. I think both of those things can be true.
Yeah, I think I get you there.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, but it's warranted. Because, he's 22 years old. He's broken the record for Brownlow votes. He could have had 2 Brownlows already. He's won a flag.
There you go with that Brownlow. You always throw the Brownlow chat in.
Hey?
You always throw the Brownlow chat in.
Well, he's almost won the Brownlow twice at the age of 22. I don't know, the history of the Brownlow, but I don't know if there's any other players that have ever done that at that age. And he has not only lived up to the hype, he has probably doubled it with how much of an impact he's had at such a young age. They thought he was a pretty boy that was just going to get the uncontested ball, and he's come in and showed that he's one of the best contested players in the comp.
I'll throw my hat in the ring here in this debate. I think he is that good. So I'm probably more on your side here, Druzy, in the sense that I think he is one of the I'm
not disagreeing with that though.
Yeah, I know. He's transformative. He probably I reckon at times he gets there's lazy analysis where he just has 25, 30 touches. And it's Dacos was one of the best players on the ground. And there were games in his vote polling where he's just picking up votes. There's not, they're not really, not all of his touches always hurt. But he is I think he is that good as far as.
I think they do. I think all of his touches are very he's such a high IQ player.
He's a high IQ player, 100%.
Yeah.
And he finds passes that others can't. And if you leave him in any amount of space, he's going to hurt you. I think since he's gone into the midfield, though, when he moved from half back and he was dealing with that congestion a lot more, it did hurt him a little bit, particularly at first. Last year, I think was well down on what he did the previous year from half back in their flag winning year. And that was there were still some amazing moments from the midfield. Don't get me wrong. But there is at times there's ball use just because of the pressure that he's under. He's getting tagged week in, week out, which is also plays into what you said, Druzy, because it's crazy that he's doing he's getting
his
tagged. His
adaptability is remarkable.
He's also a game winner. So it's
he kicks goals.
They will run their entire offensive machine through Nick Dacos.
Yeah.
There's not many other players in the comp. Maybe Sam Darcy's probably one. Just put it on his head.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't think of many others where you go, just run the ball through this guy. They chuck up a board saying 35, get the ball to Nick Dacos, and he'll do the rest. Like,
yeah.
Yeah.
No, I agree with that. Like he's pretty much the best player in the comp, I think.
Have you seen a better player have a bigger impact in 4 years of
in the
football?
time that they've come in?
I think that's,
Chris Judd would be the only one that
Jesse said that.
Yeah, that would be the one that would come to my mind. What Chris Judd did, he did have that transformative effect on the game, like what he could do from stoppage and stuff like that, and the breakaway speed. But Dacos is phenomenal. Like I don't want this twisted that I'm.
Yeah.
No. I also don't like. I think he's amazing. Like but I just think that there is a bit of.
What you think? There's too much glaze on him though.
I think there is.
I think it's absolutely fair because I think he's the best.
Do you agree though that sometimes there's games where
he polls boats that he shouldn't probably? Yeah. But yeah, we won't get into the Brownlow.
Bloody Brownlow.
The fact that for the rest of his career, Nick Dacos will be the Brownlow favourite. Going back to the Brownlow, he will always be the Brownlow favourite.
Yeah.
It's scary what he's doing at his age, I think, as well. Like because he probably hasn't hit his ceiling yet.
Yeah.
Which I think that's quite scary.
Yeah. I don't know though. Like I don't know if there's much. Like we say that, and he's so young. I don't know if there's much room for him to grow.
Time will tell, I guess.
Yeah, time will tell. But like, how does he get better?
Strength, probably.
Does he doesn't play with strength though, because all of his balls loose ball. And that's not me saying I'm not saying that he's soft. That's still contested possession. But it's more the way he dominates you is. The ruck tap happens and he reads it better than anyone else. So it comes into that IQ part of the game. It's IQ, it's reaction speed, it's stuff like that. So he doesn't really need strength. I don't think strength necessarily makes him.
Well, if you're talking about like how does he get better, like that would be.
Yeah, I suppose.
I
his
reckon
body will mature.
And I also think it'll be the players around him. And the synergy he starts, because Pendles won't be there forever and side bottom won't be there forever. So the synergy and the relationships he starts to build and the way he can transform Collingwood moving forward.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I think that's what's going to start to make him better.
I think the biggest praise you could put on him is that he's already won a flag and he was a big part of that flag.
Must be nice.
Massive part of that flag.
I just started thinking that in my head and then I'm like, that's actually crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. He's already climbed the mountain.
He has.
Yeah.
At the age of 22. All the hype.
Nice.
But yeah, Sam Darcy's like sort of in that same discussion now with all the glaze that he's been getting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he's
a
fully
freak.
like, G.I. Joe, like, I don't know if that's the right reference.
No,
but
it's
like,
actually a pretty good reference, I reckon. Like all action.
G.I. Joe. I don't actually think I've seen G.I. Joe.
It's like that. Is G.I. Oh, hang on. No, I'm thinking of Inspector
Action
Gadget.
figure.
With it like.
Yeah.
Inspector Gadget.
I'm thinking like Terminator mode. Like he's just a robot that has been brought into the world to destroy football.
I love how like you could actually do the robotic thing too. Like the arms go up.
Yeah.
They extend and then he's just like got the ball.
He's a freak.
He's a freak.
3/4 time there.
I don't know if we talked about the game once.
No,
Is
I was
this
just
the worst
going into
game
that for
you've
Nick
ever
Dacos.
No, I've been to play North Melbourne games.
Yeah,
It's
true.
definitely not the worst I've ever seen.
At least you feel something then.
True. Usually despair.
Oh.
It's so depressing. No, some really good ones as well. I've sat through a few 100-point wins.
Have you ever for North? Back in the day though. Yeah.
Yeah.
We aren't beating teams by that these days. Do you ever like the game's over and you just sit there and you're like, it's really sad?
What do you mean?
Like you're just sitting there and it's like, I don't know, you kind of feel that.
Hello, darkness.
Yeah,
my friend.
exactly.
That was me yesterday.
Living a meme.
Yeah, I've had games where I've just sat there and just been completely just depressed.
Like numb,
Numb.
lost.
I think from recent memory, the worst I've felt after a game, like in the past few seasons, was that game against Sydney in 2023. It was George Wardlaw's first game interchange gate.
Oh.
That's
that keeps
probably
coming into my brain lately.
That could be the worst I've ever felt after a game.
Really?
The next day I still wasn't over it. It's like I'd literally gone to bed that night and woken up and I was still upset.
Did it get to the stage where you're like, I'm going to send an email? I've got to.
No, I've never sent an email. I've never sent an email. I've
gotta
never
fix
sent an
this.
email. It was just like I just have never in my life felt like that after a North loss before.
That almost like I feel like that mistake like can't affect the result for the team for me.
It's just so bad.
Like I don't know.
It was just so bad. I also in 2013 we lost 5 games by less than a goal, and we had lost to West Coast in round 8. Nick Nat took a mark and kicked a goal after the siren, and then we played Adelaide at Marvel the week later, and we were 5 goals up with 5 minutes to go, and Jared Petrenko, like Adelaide just threw everything at us, and
There's
then
a name.
Jared Petrenko kicked the winning goal with like 10 seconds to go. So we were 30 points up with like 5.5 minutes to go, and we lost the game.
I remember that era,
And that was that. Those are probably the 2 worst losses I've ever seen as a North fan. Interchange Gate and then that one.
because again, it's like something's on the line, right? When we're actually just getting pumped, it's like whatever. It's kind of.
Yeah, I mean, North has had a lot of droppings over the past few seasons.
Do you know what? I remember that you mentioned the losing, like having big leads and losing them. I used to get memes, like this was early meme culture days, and I used to get like the North Melbourne can't hold a dog lead
Yeah.
memes. Just
I've
sent
never
into my.
seen that, but anyway.
You haven't seen that lead? It was like a dog was like, "Don't let this person take me for a walk" or something. It's
Yeah,
like, why?
yeah.
Because they
Never seen
support
that.
North Melbourne. Something like that.
Don't let North take
Take
you
your
for a
dog
walk.
for a walk. Yeah.
Still relevant now. Yeah, no, I don't. I've never seen that.
My
okay.
most depressing loss ever was 2019. We lost to West Coast by 92 points in a derby, and it was just wet. Just end of Frost line era.
Depressing.
Grim, bad. Like we made who was Charlie Cameron's cousin that played for West Coast for a bit? Was it Charlie Cameron's cousin?
Jeez, no.
Jeddah?
Jesse can come into bat for me here. Forgot
Not ringing a bell.
his name. Like he became irrelevant, but he kicked like 5 on us and like was like shushing the crowd and stuff.
When you're
love
shooting
that.
the
Jared
crowd,
Cameron?
that's...
Is that it?
Who?
Jared Cameron?
Jared Cameron. It's not ringing a bell for me, but I
Yeah.
also what
it is
period was that?
It is.
Jared Cameron.
2019.
Sorry about the coughing, guys. I'm losing
Oh,
it.
Charlie Cameron's younger brother. Yeah. He ran a business on us that day. Gaff, I think, had a pretty solid game. I reckon that might have, I don't know. I think that was the 2018 derby where Gaff punched
That was the
Brayshaw.
first game I ever went
Oh,
to
yeah.
at Optus.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Did you go to that game?
Yeah, it was my first game I ever went to at Optus.
What was the
Stadium.
climate like?
You could actually cut the tension with a knife there. But in fairness to West Coast fans, there was no replay on the screen of the incident. So unless you've checked your phone and seen what happened, you actually had no idea.
Yeah, okay. Because it was you
They
wouldn't
were
have actually.
cheering Gaff in support of him, as you would your own player. But there was no vision. I don't know if you were there, Drew's. There was no vision on the screen.
I wasn't there. That was a West Coast home game. I've never been to an away derby. Only home derbies.
Yeah, okay, makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't. There was no vision on the screen.
So nobody actually knew
No one
it
actually
really took
knew
place.
what really happened. Yeah, until later on.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah.
That was huge though. Like that's still kind of that's like one of those derby
he
folklore.
missed the premiership.
Good. As
He
he,
did
should have.
too.
Yeah. 8
Yeah.
week suspension.
So
missed
did
the
Nick Nat.
premiership.
Yeah, I feel like that's one of those suspensions too, where it sort of changed mentality a little bit because people, I don't know, I feel like we used to be so bad at just excusing stuff like that in the AFL. It's like, well,
And the way West Coast handled it was just appalling.
What did they do?
Well, Trevor Nisbet, who was the CEO at the time, came out like a day or two later and was like, oh, no, like Gaff, Gaffy and Andy, like they're great mates, because Hamish Brayshaw was on the list at West Coast at the time.
yeah.
And it's like, oh, yeah, the 3 boys like go play golf together.
Yeah, well, they
And it's
actually
like,
do. So,
But they'd never, I don't think at
What's
that
that
point,
got
I
to
don't
do with
think they-
anything though?
But I don't think they even
well,
knew each other
Gaff didn't
before.
mean to. Let's be real. He
It
didn't mean
doesn't-
to.
doesn't
no one
matter,
means
though.
it, but I don't.
It's
I don't
not like
know
Gaff
if
didn't have that in
was-
his character. Like it
No,
was
of
just he was
course
tagging
not.
him.
No.
But I don't think that was. I don't think that was true at the time.
Well, they're gonna go in and bat for their player, aren't they? Like they literally had just recently played golf together, from what the reports that came out were. And even Brayshaw like did an interview, I think like a week later, and he was like, "Yeah, like nah, me and Gaff are like we get on fine." Like it was.
Yeah, I don't think there was any. I don't think. Surely no one thought there was animosity there.
Nah, but
People
As
just
I go
wanna
in to
make up-
defend Andrew Gaff, fuck Andrew Gaff for that.
No, but like I feel like what I was saying there before about how it's changed a little bit. I think you can't we used to always excuse those things. Like I remember back to Brent Harvey got Joel Selwood in I think it was the 2015 finals. I want to say for striking
2014.
and then like you just go into the tribunal and it was like, oh yeah, he didn't actually get me.
Yeah,
and it was like they'd stick up for people and stuff. And now it's like you can't just hit somebody like that. You can't break someone's jaw. Whether you meant to do it, you've made that mistake.
Yeah, I get what you mean.
But he was like made out to be like the worst person in Perth, Andrew Gaff, when that happened. And like I was all for it at the time. But like, I don't know. He didn't mean to. And I know that's not the point. But like that's why like
I think you still have to in that
That's
situation.
such a Perth thing though.
Yeah. You have to live
fishbowl
by your
and-
actions a little bit too though. In that situation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Andrew Gaff, we are getting into the depths of a difficult game to watch.
Yeah. Seriously.
As a Sava picks it up, half back flank, goes long, they're pressing.
Georgiades has been good today. He's
has.
presented well.
He's sort of he's become a really good forward, hasn't he? Like a good key position
Yeah,
forward.
100%. That shouldn't be a free kick.
What was
Amon and Impey both back at their old stomping ground, getting
Yeah.
stomped on.
It's mental how many
Shame.
players like that have left Port Adelaide. If you think about Dan Houston, another back flanker, like really good ball user, Amon, Impey.
Jasper Pittard.
Just hard. Man. Can you actually talk to me about that deal? What actually happened there?
I don't know.
I was living overseas at the time.
Yeah.
I remember
Jared
it.
Pollock was such an interesting character because he had like 2 really good seasons and that was his contract years, both at Brisbane and at Port. So he was a 3-club player, not a lot of people. So he started at Brisbane and then went to Port and played really well in his last year. Brisbane bumped his price tag up. Port came a knocker and he went. And then the same thing happened. He had a really good year in 2018 at Port. And then North came knocking and we gave away our first round draft pick for him. We did give away our first round draft pick for him. But we did get Jasper Pittard in return as well.
Who
is Jasper Pittard?
Jasper Pittard had a really good 2019, finished 10th in the best and fairest.
10th in the Roos best and fairest in 2019 is not an accomplishment.
It is in my eyes.
So you're a fan?
And you know, Jasper?
Yeah.
I loved Jasper Pittard.
Really?
Yeah.
On
I
the
still have
basis
his
of
badge.
what?
I still have his badge
His
on
badge.
my scarf. Yeah.
Right.
I'm losing credits in Drewsy's book here.
You're not losing credits. I'm just like, why did you be like, I love Jasper Pittard. He was great. I was like, why? You were like, I had his badge. I'm like, all right, fair.
No,
Must've
I
been
think
good.
I think Jasper Pittard was one of these players when he came across the North. People were like, "Oh, he's no good." Like, and we actually tried to bring him over. So he made the All Australian squad in 2015, I believe it was, for Port.
Who the frick is Jasper Pittard?
He was a high draft pick.
And we tried to bring him over and we unsuccessful. So we went back again and got him as part of the Pollock deal. He was actually very serviceable for North.
Yep.
In defence in 2019. 2020, they'd played him. 2020, Rhys Shaw just played every player out of position. They played Sean Higgins.
God, that was a weird time.
Strange. Sean Higgins out of the
Weird
back
time.
pocket, like wrong. And they moved Jasper Pittard into the forward line and played him as this like defensive negating forward. And it just did not work. And then he did hamstring and then never came back into the side. They delisted him at the end of the year.
157 AFL games.
Yeah.
Jasper Pittard.
Yeah.
What was he picked? I reckon he was picked 10 to 15.
Maybe like 19 or something like that.
I feel like he was a first rounder.
Yeah, he was. I'm pretty sure.
He was one of 3 Port players drafted in the first round of the 2009 draft. From Fitzroy, not far from here. I mean, very far from here.
Local. Someone's just kicked their first goal.
Cochrane. Tommy
there you
Cochrane.
go.
He is actually the first ever AFL player to have Tourette syndrome.
Wow.
Yeah, his last name's actually Tommy Wren, but he can't help but say cock every time he tries to pronounce it. Over to you, Dylan.
Oh, dear.
Wow.
Druzy.
Come on, then. That's funny.
Wow. Adding a bit of spice into this one.
No, great player.
Jasper? Yeah.
No, yeah. I was talking about Tommy Cochrane there
Where did they pick him up from?
from Port.
No, Cochrane.
Oh, Cochrane. He's from SA, I believe.
Yeah, right.
He was one of those ones that just went massively under the radar. Nobody knew anything about him. They picked him up and looks like a jet.
What a player.
They had an awesome draft. Jack Whitlock, Joe Berry, Christian Moraes, Tommy Cochran. I think they killed it.
Good on him.
Yeah. Horn Francis is starting to look real dangerous at stoppages.
So the midfield mix for Hawthorn's just looking like Dylan Moore or bust at the moment.
Yeah, like they're really running out of bodies in there. And I feel like already their midfield, like I was saying before, but like it was a bit down on quality just at the centre bounces at least. Like Newcomb, Warple. It's not exactly like Butters, Horn Francis, Rosie, is it? If you take away Will Day.
No.
I've just got hit with a terrible joke from Druzy, and Jesse come into bat saying, no, it was decent. I rated the quick mind to go there. The execution could have been tidier, but I'm impressed.
Love that.
Come on, man. That's a funny joke.
One thing I love about Port in this game is they are looking as ferocious and as hungry, and the pressure is up as much as it would be if this game was in the balance.
But can they bring it all season and in September?
No, we've discussed that.
Is that kind of...
Negative.
Did you bring that up,
No.
Marnie, because of North Melbourne? And you're like, you get frustrated with them not bringing that intensity at all times?
Yeah, I wasn't thinking about North in that precise moment,
first time all night.
surprisingly. But yeah, I wish North would do that. But the one thing with North is you look at that win we had against Melbourne, and we did that. Like the game was over halfway through the last, and we still were fighting it out till the death.
Yeah, that was a real foot on the throat performance.
Yeah, it was. It was. I haven't seen North play like that for, God, a very long time. Probably since that Collingwood game, to be honest, even though we didn't win.
I'm a bit nervous though now, after that game a few weeks later, that it was... I'm thinking now we played Melbourne.
But I don't think that's fair. Because like in the last 3 or 4 seasons, the only clubs North have been able to beat are the Suns, West Coast and Richmond.
Yeah.
With the exception of Fremantle in 2023.
Oh, yeah. Okay. That was like in the first 2 rounds,
Let's
yeah.
not bring that up. Yeah.
I can't believe that season we won the first 2 games.
And then we didn't win another one till the last.
I'm like, Clarkson ball. That was first year of Clarkson, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
We had a really good patch in the middle of the year under Brett Ratton, but we couldn't actually win any games. We came really close to Essendon, came close to St Kilda, Interchange Gate, of course.
Yep.
But yeah, just couldn't actually seal the deal there.
Left that one through to the keeper. Didn't want to talk about that Dockers game. We always start seasons slow. We're always
Do you?
like first couple rounds. Or maybe last year we were right, but typically...
Yeah, I thought last year you were actually a bit the opposite.
Well, we were 3-0 and then we went 0-3.
Yeah. And then you had a good mid-season, didn't you? And then it was like late.
Yeah.
You kind of just needed that one win.
Yeah, it was literally like 2 patches of the season. It was the gather round period when we went... we lost 3 in a row to Port, Carlton and West Coast, and then the last 4 of the season. But other than that, they were terrific.
Can you talk me through your emotions in that last day of round 24 last year?
Yeah, so
Did you go? Were you here at the time?
I was living in Melbourne, yeah.
Yeah.
So talking about me wanting to be less emotionally invested, it came from the 3 weeks prior where we lost to Essendon. I was at the MCC with some friends, and I was like, oh, this is like, we're going to win this. Like, I wasn't being too mouthy. I was just like celebrating, but my mate who I was with was being pretty mouthy, and then we lost late in that Essendon game. And
Oh, God, yep.
yeah, almost got into a bit of a argy-bargy with an Essendon fan, and then flew to Perth, watched us play Geelong the week after, and there was some bloke chirping me, and I was just getting a bit too chirpy, and then we played GWS the week after, and yeah, I basically just threw my phone against the wall, and then yeah, that's the honest truth of that. So then when we came up against Port Adelaide the week after, I was
Druzy,
like,
this isn't therapy.
and
We're
it's
here
answering the
now.
question.
Let's just ride the wave with him, yeah.
In the last game of the season when we played Port Adelaide, I was like, I've literally thrown my wall at my phone at a wall for this club. I'm done. So I was like, whatever happens in this game. Like,
Really?
Yeah, I just watched it like completely uninvested, and I was like,
Wow.
oh, we lost, whatever. And then went to Electric that night, which is where the story begins.
Really?
Yeah,
So that's all connected.
yeah,
That's the universe.
yeah.
Yeah, I haven't thrown a phone.
Not many people have.
Actually, I have a phone story.
Go
Do
on.
you?
Yep. We beat the Bulldogs in 2018. Jack Zeeble kicked the winning goal from the goal square
Zeebs.
with 30 seconds to go. It's one of the best games I've ever been
2013?
to. 2018.
Oh, 2018.
Yep, 2018. It's one of the best games I've ever been to. It's one of my favourite North Melbourne games of all time. Anyway, I was sitting in the front row at Marvel and I was jumping so high. My phone flung out of my pocket and went through the crack and went under the ground.
As if.
No.
Hand on heart. So I was more angry that I couldn't celebrate the win properly than I was about losing my
You've
phone.
taken this from me, this moment.
So I had to call a security guard over. I was like, come over. They came over. I said, look, my phone's fallen underneath the ground. Can you please go and get it for me?
Yep.
So security guard said, put your number in my phone so we can
Smooth.
ring it.
Smooth.
Good
Nice.
tactic. So he could ring it and it was under there. He could see it light up. Anyway, they delivered it back to me. Not one crack, not one break, no nothing.
And you got to enjoy the win?
And I got to enjoy the win.
Warple goes bang. It's only 6 goals now.
It's only
They're
6
coming.
goals.
But yeah, in that moment where I threw my phone against my wardrobe, I was like, football should not make you do that. And that's why this year I'm a bit more platonic. Is that the word?
Just numb.
Yeah. Emotional disturbance. So,
Nice.
yeah, embarrassed myself there. And I've now let the world know about it. Got
Good story time. Story time with Druzy.
Got the cracks on my phone to prove it.
Oh, wow. Yeah, jeez.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Need a new phone, Mum, if you're watching.
I actually had a question from what we were talking about before. Like players, we mentioned Polek and not Darcy Byrne-Jones. Who was the...
Jasper Pittard.
Jasper
Pittard was a great asset for North, please.
Who do you reckon's like some of the worst trades of players going and like the trades where the anticipation was really big?
Jesse Hogan to Freo. Comes straight to mind.
Straight to mind.
Did nothing for us.
But like
Except
just paint
for that one drunken night when he exposed Tom Morris on Twitter.
Yeah.
What was that? I don't know that.
That's so good.
Was
got ripped
Melbourne? Was that Melbourne days?
No, that was Fremantle days.
Right. So we did it after he left Melbourne because apparently
Yeah.
Tom Morris was. Oh no, he's kicked that. Oh, that needed to be straight on him. He was working at Melbourne as a
Like in the comms or something.
Yeah,
Comms department.
and then
Tom Morris.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's a supporter, right? Because that was
Yeah.
part of that like Luke
Yeah.
Beveridge.
And then he went to Fremantle and got drunk one night and started tweeting all this stuff about Tom Morris.
Yeah, because he was just like
Slagging him off.
leaking. Yeah,
So
information.
funny.
What do
That's
you
one
call
of
him? Like
Jesse
an honest
Hogan's
leech or
finest
something?
moments.
Yeah, Jesse Hogan was a massively disappointing trade. Like we gave away, I don't know what we gave away to him. It was like a first round pick. Look, to be fair, I think we've had the better of Melbourne in trades in recent times, especially with the news today coming out that Cozzy Pickett has changed
That
management.
context isn't important,
Crazy.
but continue. You're just like, yeah, I want it to be known for the
Well,
record.
yeah. So that one comes to mind. What others? What come to mind for you guys?
But I think that the thing people forget with Hogan is how much of a
He was so
hot-
good at he was really good at
the
Melbourne.
prospect that he was, because I think by the back end of Freo, people had almost forgotten that was a good, and then GWS pick him up, and then he sort of becomes good again.
yeah.
Yeah.
He just lost his love for footy at Freo. Cam McCarthy, RIP, he was another one. Lots of expectation coming over.
Yeah.
That never lived up to it. Speak about the pressures of playing football and like
Yep.
when you're a key forward in a struggling Fremantle side after Matt Pav has left, like
A lot of
Matt Pav.
expectation for sure.
Can you think of any other trades that really went?
One that I wanted to bring up was the Buddy Franklin trade, and like obviously it was a success as far as Buddy Franklin, I guess the media attention even that he brings to a club like Sydney.
I think it was a success.
I think it's fair to say it's a success. The only thing I wanted to bring up was the fact that because they didn't reach that ultimate success.
I don't think it's a success then. I think it hinges on the fact that Buddy's got to win a flag.
He's got to win a flag for that
Yeah.
to... Is that too much expectation that we're placing?
He put them in the frame for it a few times.
Yeah.
Just
and
couldn't
then
get
didn't
it
show up
done.
on grand final day.
They had a stacked team at that point.
I think it has to be you trade in Buddy Franklin to win a flag. I think that's the outcome you're trying to achieve with a trade like that.
They finished on top maybe twice. It might have only been once,
They
but
should have won it in 2016.
Yeah, 2016 they should have won it for sure.
And then 2022, Buddy
That was just a
had
total capitulation.
no touches.
yeah.
Oh, James Sicily. Redeem yourself, son.
I'll tell you one is Geelong and Tim Kelly.
Ooh.
I mean, that's
Yes.
just he played in the Waffle this weekend.
Yeah.
That's actually a story in itself,
Just
isn't it?
completely fallen off a cliff.
Yep.
Yeah, that's actually a really good one because he was one of the, at the time that he went there, one of the pretty much the best young player in the comp, right?
Yep.
He won the Rising Star. Did he?
I think
Did he?
he
I
was
thought he
mature
was too
age.
old.
Might have been
Yeah.
too old.
Yeah.
I know he was mature age.
Was he all Australian?
Yeah.
I think he might have
so.
been all Australian for Geelong.
That's incredible.
Let me double check.
Hawthorn
that.
couldn't do this, could they, by the way?
They can.
You reckon?
I don't think so, unless Port Adelaide have just really gone to sleep. How many minutes to go?
I was just talking them up like 5 minutes ago saying I love how they've just kept the intensity and the pressure up. There's 10 minutes to go. They're 5 goals down.
Yeah, he was all Australian.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
I don't know if that was for West Coast.
What did West
or-
Coast pay for Tim Kelly too?
2 first rounders, I think. No, they did. They didn't give away any top 10 picks.
But it was
I
two
think it was 2 first
between
rounders.
10 and 20.
Wasn't it like 12?
I've got
and
it
14?
here.
Yeah, that's a really good one. I forgot about that one.
What have we got? Surely just show me a nice little. So pick 14. And 24.
West Coast did well to not give away
Jesse can come in the chat and
any
help there.
top 10 picks, but
Yeah, it's still like when you're trying to rebuild though, it's a pretty big hole,
Yeah.
isn't it? That was
Yeah.
that was when they just won the premiership, right? And they were trying to go again. So when I say rebuild, it wasn't a rebuild, but
they'd won it in 2018. He came
Yeah.
across in like 2022
I reckon he came straight after
or
it.
3 or something.
No, it would have been longer ago.
We are witnessing a genuine comeback here. Sicily goes bang!
That's a goal.
Oh!
Oh, no, he got it. Aaliyah
I
got
know
it, I
it's
think.
touched.
Yeah.
Oh, if that's gone through, Koshy.
Genuine panic stations here for
Yeah,
wow.
wow.
Do you guys think that's it for Tim Kelly at West Coast?
He's not going to be in their next premiership side, is he?
Oh, no way.
Wow, that's good from Aaliyah.
That is very
How's the
good.
lead?
That was closer than I thought.
Jesse said without looking it up, he reckons it was picked 14, 24, 33 and a future first, which ended up being picked 20-ish.
Like when you put it like in those terms, it starts to not sound as bad because they're just late picks. But I suppose like every one of those has to have a player assigned to it.
Well, I
Yeah.
don't think any of those players... I think most of that went to Geelong, which then got shipped to GWS for Jeremy Cameron.
Yeah, okay.
Something like that. Something.
Turning Tim Kelly into Jeremy Cameron's not a bad result for Geelong
Yeah.
at all.
Oh, incredible.
Everyone wants to see a comeback here. Go Lloyd. You got to go Lloyd. That was a Druzy effort.
They're coming here. It's a ball
Oh.
kick though.
Oh,
Shit.
they've got
D50
the-
transition.
Yeah, they've got the spread.
Opened up the ground.
Bosh.
Damn. He can kick the ball.
Glad this game came alive with a
Far out. Give us
28-point
something.
margin.
I know.
CJ takes 2 bounces. How's the left shoe? Pops it up. Choles there. Makes a contest. Lazy slap. Sav.
Nah.
Handball.
Oh.
Mead.
Oh,
Pushed off the kick.
Oh.
Weddle
Oh,
on
Riddell.
50. Pops it up.
Oh.
There's Hawks everywhere. Sicily over the top. Carlton for his 5th. We have a game.
Gee whiz.
22 points. 9 minutes to go.
Do you
Outrageous.
remember the other Adelaide Oval game between these two last year where Darcy Byrne-Jones kicked that one with like 10 seconds left? Straight out of the centre and he socketed it in. They came back from like a...
No,
What do you mean you don't remember that?
I don't
The
remember it.
Darcy Byrne-Jones soccer up the ground last year with like a second left in the game. And
What round? What round?
Well, Burn Jones isn't
It
out
would have
there
been in
today.
May because it was... Or late May. So I was going to...
I'd have to
America that
see
week.
it. I'm
Bruh, as if you don't remember that Darcy Byrne-Jones moment.
I'm old, man. Like the brain, the
Do you
short
remember
term.
it?
You'd have to remind me. This is the 30 and over club.
Yeah,
Over here.
like things like that are that recent don't stay.
Things that like that have nothing to do
That
with
was like one of
Melbourne.
the best moments of last year.
Haven't you noticed me and Marnie have been talking about things that happened in like the early 2000s?
Yeah, all I do is think about North Melbourne.
That's where
Just
we
about.
peaked.
So out of the last 10,
Wow.
Hawks have kicked 7 and the atmosphere has been
Oh my
sucked
God,
out of the
Ken.
Adelaide Oval. Ken Hinckley
Oh,
looks like he's
Newcombe.
aged
There they
by
go
years.
again. Wow.
Cam McKenzie. That's a free kick
Oh,
to
no.
Port. They'll hold on Port, but still.
Wow.
I noticed that happens so often where the forward's trying to get out the back and then the intercept takes place.
Was this it?
I do like Darcy Burn Jones.
He's a battler. Big contest here.
Yeah, this is it here. So centre bounce, 20 seconds left. Hawthorn up by 5.
Oh, yes. Yeah, of course I do.
this. Yeah.
Of course I
That's what I
remember
mean,
this.
like-
Yeah.
What's going on here, bro?
Pandemonium.
Yep.
Mass gives it to Amon, who gets tackled, and then
Yep.
Darcy Burn-Jones back.
Yeah.
So that I was just thinking, like, little comeback ting, little Hawthorn.
Yeah.
What do they need now? 4 goals?
Revenge?
4 goals. And they
Crazy.
won.
Nothing.
The Hornet. Oh, Georgiades, good mark.
So good.
On Barras too.
Jesse said, I'm over 30 and I remember it.
This could be 50.
Thanks, Jesse.
What did he say?
He said, I'm over 30 and I remember it.
I thought he said I'm over 50. I don't-
He's pushing 50.
Oh,
Oh,
Pepper!
no one wants to see this.
That's a great goal, though.
Yeah, well done.
That's
What
a
a
nice
gun.
goal.
Damn it.
That probably ends it. Now, all the fans are just like, oh my God.
Thank God.
Yeah, Ken Hinckley isn't so bad after all.
Yeah.
That is Port Adelaide, eh? It's like Hinckley in, Hinckley out. Good
Yeah.
win.
That's what I mean. Like, how can you be so
They're
flippant?
It's one of the most toxic relationships in the AFL, Ken Hinckley and Port Adelaide fans.
Do you think when that happens, though, like you do, I know that's like kind of pandering to the choir, but do you have to just, I don't know, like do you kind of have to have a fresh start just so you get that emotion out of the club when they're almost playing with that emotion? It's almost like you need a circuit breaker. And it's not as if Ken Hinckley, he can't sort of go at the end, oh yeah, like I won this amount of games, blah, blah, blah. Like he ultimately has been there for like 10 years. Hasn't won a premiership.
Yeah.
So he can't really, he's had a chance. Like he had a go.
He's definitely transformed the club to a degree, particularly what Druzy was saying before. Like, I think he's got fans interested
Yeah.
again. But, I mean,
So do you guys put that largely down to Hinckley, do you?
Put what down to Hinckley?
The sort of, like the fan engagement.
not necessarily, but
Nah,
like,
it's not.
Oh, really?
that's
Really? The
just-
ball.
he's taking
That's
the
actually
piss.
great.
That's so good.
Yeah.
Someone's got a new footy.
They didn't like it.
Georgiades could have just put CJ over the fence and he didn't out of the mercy of his own heart. And now they're in a little ground and pound on the floor.
Yeah. It's on. Hawthorn did
There's
not
a lot
like.
of feeling in
I
this.
do wish you could take fighting to like just one level higher in the AFL.
What do you mean?
Because it's all jumper punching, but you don't want punching, but I think you want a little bit more.
What do you mean?
Because it's all just this. It's all just like.
I mean,
this is it is.
it's all bullshit anyway, though, isn't it? Really, it's just like all of this stuff's like fake bravado.
Well, yeah, CJ shouldn't have done that. Well, sort of. Yeah, he's been mugged off. He shouldn't have gone and stood over him after. Oh, they're going to have another shot on goal for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now the game is definitely over.
Oh, yeah.
This actually kind of
Really?
brings up a conversation about Hawthorn because, like, I guess that's what they get accused of. Like, they dish it out, the
It's a
fun-loving,
very fair point.
and then, Willie Rioli shows him the ball, and they're not handling this all
Yeah.
that,
Yeah.
particularly well.
He's just spat the dummy.
If you
Yeah.
want to dance, boys, you better bring your ballet shoes. Is that what you're alluding to, Dylan?
yes, yeah, good. Great analogy, yeah.
Yeah, I'm good at those.
Kind of wish Port didn't kick those 2 goals.
Yeah,
though.
100%.
Yeah, of
It's
course.
killed the game.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Is
I
this
mean,
weeks for CJ?
That's so
I thought you were going
funny.
to say for Willie Rioli then.
Nah.
Is this weeks?
Nah.
Nah.
Could have pushed him into the boundary post there.
Yeah. I don't think the force and stuff would be enough.
It's just brain fade.
Hawthorn scream, it's funny when it's not happening to me. They
Is that-
can give a joke, but they can't take
Yeah,
one.
Yeah.
dish it, but can't take it for sure.
Arrogant bastards. Oh, Willem Drew.
Oh, Willem Drew.
Fresh airy.
Yeah.
What else have we got? Dill, what else have we seen over the weekend of Gather Round? I was gutted not to be there. I implore everyone to go to Gather Round. I went last year and it was one of the funnest weekends, aside from Freo getting robbed by Carlton, but just meeting everyone. You just walk through the streets of Adelaide and it's just like the who's of AFL,
It's-
like
it's
all
so-
the clubs.
Yeah, it's pretty
everyone.
cool.
It's so funny that they are talking about changing it. And I know it's partly because everybody wants in, but you'd think you just keep it there, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
Adelaide's
they're going to keep it
perfect for
there.
it.
Yeah.
yeah.
Like even like the chat about like, oh, Perth should have it. It's like Perth's got Optus, and then a bunch of waffle grounds. Like,
Yeah.
Norwood's good. Norwood's like a nice old stadium. Barossa is out. Like, you're not going to send a couple footy teams down to Margaret River. Like, come on now.
You could do something similar though in other places as well, like later in the
Well,
year.
like, opening round would be good in like Brisbane or something like that. And
Yeah.
like you drum it up, but no, gather round's sick. That Geelong result was probably the biggest moment of gather round.
Yeah,
for me.
I think Geelong. I know Geelong don't really need anything, but that performance against a big challenger like Adelaide with the forwards, with Tom Stewart out.
At gather round, first game of gather round, home crowd.
And Adelaide threw some punches in that game. Like, it's not like they played poorly.
They were neck and neck.
Adelaide
three
looked unreal.
quarters.
That was one of the better games of footy I've seen in a long time. Hey, it felt like it was goal for goal for so long.
For sure. And definitely Geelong at times didn't contain the Adelaide forwards. What was it at halftime? I remember looking and thinking, this is ridiculous. Like, Adelaide had kicked 72 points at the half.
Yeah.
And Geelong had kicked a lot as well. So I think it's going to be a bit like that for Adelaide this season, where the ball's just flicking around everywhere. Adelaide don't control the footy particularly well off the half back line. I think that's still, I've gone on about it a fair bit, Druzy, but Rory Laird not going to get it done from a ball handling point of view.
Yeah.
Hinge isn't quite there. So I do worry about their ability to be able to go into different gears.
Yeah, they sort of got exposed with that Dangerfield swing of the magnet.
Far out. They just did not have a matchup for him. Who had him? Keane at times. Who else?
Like Hinge, maybe? I don't know.
Hinge. He'd be
Gunston has kicked
Gunston's
7.
legacy game.
7.
Is that 6?
6,
7?
I think. Crazy game.
I think Adelaide are going to test a lot of teams though throughout the season. With
100%.
that three-pronged
four-headed
forward line.
monster.
Yeah.
And Ben Keys is criminally underrated.
I
still.
totally agree.
Absolutely. He should be in the discussion for one of the best players in the competition at the moment.
Who's that, sorry?
That's
Ben
probably a bit
Keys.
too... You've just overtaken me there with enthusiasm for him, but I reckon he's a great high half forward.
I reckon he flies under the radar just because of
I agree.
the Thilthorpe and Fogg and
He was
even
BNF
Tex.
best and fairest last year, shared with Jordan Dawson.
Keezy.
Keys, yeah.
I don't think he gets the credit.
But he's not one of the best players in the comp.
No.
I think he's definitely had a very good start to the season.
Yeah. And he's I don't know. He's just a real goer. Runs hard,
Excellent footballer.
gets involved. Probably I suppose the thing that why he doesn't for me get into those conversations is he's just not as good on the ball.
Yeah.
As the top
He's
players.
such an athlete that was unco throughout high school that took up footy.
Yeah.
But you cannot question his work ethic and.
He's still clean. He's really clean with his hands.
But he looks unco.
Yes, yeah. I mean,
Weirdly.
he even runs a bit unco.
Yeah.
He's got the big sort of arms.
Yeah, his set shot routine seems weird.
Yeah.
But no, I really like Ben Keys. He would be in the top echelon of players in his position this season, yes, but nowhere near best.
Agree with that.
But good call.
Who else are we talking about?
Adelaide just in general in that game on Thursday night. I think the Bulldogs and Brisbane game will also be one that is spoken about for a while because I find it really hard to get a read on the Bulldogs.
They're impossible at the moment.
They are just, I think every year it's so hard to know exactly where they're going to land.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't first of all, you've got Bont, Treloar, Waitman. That's 3 pretty big pieces. I don't reckon
Absolutely.
anyone's quite got an injury list like that as far as your best.
Hawthorn?
Yeah, probably now with
Sydney's would be up there for injuries.
Yeah, Sydney's is up there for sure. But
Sydney's
system is rock solid.
Does Sydney though? Do they have the same? They probably have as many injuries, but to like Bontempelli.
Yeah, they
generational
do.
player.
Goulden, Papali,
Mills, Goulden.
Goulden and Papley are massive.
Mills is as well.
I'm sort of past the Mills one. Is Mills actually that good a player?
He's just been out for so long. But Sydney fans think he's one of their better ball users.
Well, it's your captain.
He's a decent
it's
ball user.
Your spiritual leader.
Your spiritual leader, Dylan.
Spiritual. Yeah, it's fair. I mean, do they equate to Treloar, Bont and Waitman?
Probably.
Yeah, they've got
Goulden's
a
big
lot
one.
of Goulden, Papali,
Yeah.
Mills.
Yeah, fair.
Fox as well. I know we're not talking about who's the better players, but
it's
structurally.
also structurally.
Yeah.
They're missing a lot.
Fox sometimes doesn't get in the team though.
Cunningham, important for him.
Yeah.
I'm not even a Sydney I don't really
They have
care for
unearthed one of the gems of the year, though, in Riley Bice.
Sydney. Biley Rice.
Absolutely tore us apart off the halfback line.
Kicked the winner against us as well.
He did too. That was his first game, wasn't it?
Yeah, something like that.
He's come in and had an immediate impact. Like, he's just been unreal the last 3
Wasn't
weeks.
that like the trade that you guys did with them as well?
Yeah.
They picked Riley Bice.
Yep, sure was.
It's good,
Classic
isn't it?
Sydney.
Yeah, it's
good,
awesome.
Oh, far out.
Luke Parker has been really good for North, though.
Yeah, if we look at those 3 recruits for North, I'm strongest on Parker. I think what he does and like that leadership side as well. Just for those younger guys, he is a bit more of a defensive player, or what we talked about off the top.
Yeah.
Darling, like good structurally, because he gives us a target, and probably the one that I've been the most disappointed with is Caleb Daniel.
Yeah, so have I.
And that's partly because of what we paid for him.
Yeah, I think with Caleb Daniel, a lot of it is like you got to look at the players that he's working with, and LDU is an excellent footballer. Harry Sheasel, Jai Simkin, Tom Powell, these players are all excellent, but they don't move in the same way that a Trelaw or a Libba or a Bont do. They don't move. They're like we've spoken about this already. Very stagnant. I think that Caleb Daniel. I think the inclusion of Zach Fisher over the weekend helps Daniel because the pressure's off him a little bit. Like he can share the load a bit.
Totally agree.
Which
with
I think
that.
is. I think it's really important to have a second attacking defender and that sort of hard running defender.
You'd like it to be Foss in a way, but he's probably not quite ready to take the reins.
Yeah, and it would be nice if at some point it evolves to that, or if it's Riley Hardiman, who I'd love to see in the side.
I think he's the long-term one because I think Foss will end up in the midfield.
Yeah, or on the wing.
Yeah.
Yeah. But Jack Darling, for me, talking about players you take a bullet for. I have taken
a bullet for Jack
I've
Darling.
taken
He
multiple
loves Jack
metaphorical bullets for Jack Darling. I love him.
Why do you love Jack Darling as a footballer?
As he's really changed the entire dynamic of our forward line. Our forward line just did not function whatsoever last year, and the way that he's been able to come in,
Just
and
a
he's
structural piece.
Yeah.
but he's kicked 6 goals now.
Yeah.
Josh Tracy kicked that today.
Yeah, well, but then you've got Nick Larkey and Paul Curtis, who are both in the top 10 to 15.
I honestly don't think. I know that's been a media point. I don't think you judge Jack Darling on goals.
You can't.
Because he's getting really high up the ground.
And yeah, I make it like yesterday, right, against the Swans, the 3 players in the second quarter who led the charge for us turning things around were Parker, Darling and Foss.
Yeah.
So I don't think people can underestimate what he's done for us structurally. Here's Warple.
Warple again.
It's a crisis now.
Yeah.
It's falling apart. It was built on lies.
Let's have a look at next week's fixtures. We've got a minute left in this game.
Do we talk about the Dogs Brisbane game?
I just said how good Brisbane were.
Yeah. I mean,
They just know how to win. They just know what they have to do to go to the
Yeah.
that's what
takes.
winning a premiership does, right? The confidence
it
that
just
brings all
changes
those
it
players
completely.
and even the younger players.
Easter weekend next week.
Yep. So we got Brisbane Collingwood Thursday night at the Gabba,
Yep.
which is a big one. North take on the Blues Friday afternoon, 3:20.
Yep.
Looking forward to that one.
Marnie and I were talking off air about that game, and I think we called it. I don't know if you want me to actually say this on air, but we called that a must win.
Yeah, it's a must win for North. I'm happy to
must
say
win.
that.
That's
It's a
a big
must win.
game.
It's a
That's
huge game.
Huge game. They've got Mackay out. They've
And
got
Kemp out.
Yeah, Kemp as well.
So, I mean, they've got players that can fill the hole. Like, they can send McGovern forward if they want. Zach Williams obviously playing forward. You've got Lewis Young. What you do with him, I don't know. We on form this season in terms of both sides' best. We should win that game if we bring our best. But God,
if we get McGoverned or something like that, like McGovern comes and kicks 5.
Corey Durden comes in and has another 4-goal game or something,
It's actually frustrating, like them playing West Coast and like getting played into form
just makes me
before you get them. Like I would have wanted to get them
You'll be right.
this week.
I don't think they would have really built too much in that West Coast game. Not that I saw a kick of that game, but yeah.
I think as far as the midfield goes, and just us being able to like really run them into the ground, get it in and out of stoppage with LDU Shees, those guys like you actually said you think McKercher could spend some time in the twos, but he does move well.
Well, I mean, look, for North, George Wardlaw puts himself into the frame for selection.
He's
Jackson
up,
Archer should be back. So
Archer's a big one too.
Yeah, so he was meant to come back this week, but then he suffered a minor hamstring strain, so they think he should be right to go for Good Friday. George Wardlaw did suffer a rolled ankle in the VFL scratch match over the weekend, but all reports is he laughed it off. I wasn't laughing when I saw the footage.
No, I don't think supporters would be thinking that was very funny, George.
Maybe a nervous laugh, if that. So it's a bit of a wait and see with all of them. But I think we've got a few potential acts. You know, we swung the axe with Bailey Scott over this weekend. It's something that I don't think a lot of us would have seen. A couple names, McKercher and Logue, probably the two that stand out for me. Potentially their heads are on the chopping block, but you know,
I'm thinking about, while we talk about this, I'm thinking about the Carlton forward line. I'm thinking once you got Curnow, like Core will take Curnow, I imagine.
Yeah.
Convin will be sort of floating across.
Floating around. And then if Lewis Young goes forward, then that's Logue or Pink, whoever plays that other tall defender. And then you've got, I mean, their small forwards are dangerous at the moment. Corey Durden kicked 4 yesterday.
See, I don't think their small forwards are dangerous. I know they had a good game against West Coast.
Yeah, that's fair. Jesse Motlop has had a pretty inconsistent season. That's my guy. I love that guy.
So they've got...
and they've got Zach Williams.
Zach Williams.
So, I don't know.
Should be shutting these guys down, man.
Sorry, Druzy. You keep going.
No, I'm just looking at fixtures. So, yes, the Easter weekend. So, 2 games on that Friday. Good Friday, and then Geelong Hawthorn at the G, which I think I'm going to go to.
Always a huge game.
Yeah.
That's the Monday game?
The Easter Monday clash.
That'll be massive.
So I'm looking at games to stream this week, Dylan. It might have to be the Thursday night game.
So what's that?
Brisbane Collingwood. In terms of, mate, we'll discuss. But I think because Saturday I'm going to Melbourne Freo at the G.
Yep.
Then it's Crows Giants at 4:15. So I just don't know if I'd be able to get here on time post Freo.
All right.
So we'll have to
sort that out
work through the logistics.
Whatever they decide to do, it'll be right here on True Footy.
That's right, Marnie. You smashed it.
Right here on True Footy. So if we're talking about those games, like what are the biggest ones there as far as like ramifications?
Brisbane.
Collingwood, Brisbane.
I'd say Good Friday, like North.
That's a massive game.
North Hawthorn, North Carlton. That's
at the bottom
huge.
If North lose to Carlton, like what are we saying?
I don't want to think about it.
Let's just pretend I never said that then.
Yeah. Let's just
Crows Giants is probably the game of the round there.
Yeah. Easter Monday will be huge as well because Hawthorn will be really looking to bounce back after this loss.
Yeah. Geelong will be in top form as well.
Yeah.
The games are coming thick and fast for Adelaide at the moment.
Yeah.
Like
Crows
I feel like
Giants. This is a big month for them.
You know they've got after the Giants?
Flag mantle.
Yeah.
Giants have got Freo.
No, Adelaide play the Giants and then they play us in Perth.
Yeah, it's a big month for Adelaide.
They were floating like through those first few rounds, just pumping everyone.
But I think this is good. All the talk was that Adelaide were going to win the flag at the end of March. So it'd be really interesting to see.
Flag crom.
Brisbane, and then they obviously fell again this week to Geelong. So then they've got the Giants and Freo. It could very quickly unravel if they're not careful.
Yeah, it's some big games
Fraud
for sure.
Watch is on.
Fraud Watch. Those other games did anyone catch the Melbourne Essendon game?
No.
Nah, also did not catch St Kilda GWS.
I caught a bit of the end of that.
Yeah, I didn't. I was working for the Melbourne Essendon game.
Stringer into that forward line was pretty. There's actually a player we didn't mention when we're talking about best players in the comp. Toby Green.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
He's had a massive game, didn't he?
Yeah, he was absolutely awesome in that game. And I think he's been pretty good over the first month. And he's a player too for them. He wasn't playing that sort of football last year. Like he was down.
Look at all the fans. That's iconic.
That's good. Ken Hinckley did get the last laugh.
Yeah.
I heard a player comparison, Dylan.
Ooh, I like this.
Toby Green, Murphy Reed.
That's so funny that you heard that.
Yeah.
Do you know why? Where did you hear that?
Friend of the show, Jared Davis.
Jared Davis.
Yeah. That's probably
Toby Green, Murphy Reed. What I was thinking, I was like, those kind of mid forwards like Murphy Reed, can they spend 2, 3, 4 years in the AFL? And because one thing Murphy Reed doesn't have right now that Toby Green clearly has is power.
Yeah.
And how much you can actually sort of like develop that when you're not really a sort of like a fast twitch guy.
In terms of his toughness and ability to win one-on-one and like skill around goal, I think that's more where he's drawing to. But yeah, he's obviously not that explosive.
Yeah.
And then you probably can just say, yeah, he's a still side bottom type with how like he's not explosive, but he's silky and skillful around goal. So
yeah, for sure. No, I like it. I'll tell you one thing that he's never going to have that Toby Green has: overhead.
Mongrel.
No, overhead marking.
Yeah,
like he just doesn't have that.
Yeah, we'll work it into him.
Because like I would call Toby Green like a true small hybrid forward.
Yeah.
Just different things. But like Murphy Reed, I see Murphy Reed as a midfielder. Long term.
I love him half forward. He's
Really?
so good for us half forward. When him, Shea, Frederick, Young are just like roaming, and then you've got Sarong and Brayshaw just in there doing the dirty work. Like it's filthy.
Yeah.
Filthy
I think though,
forward,
like you'd think over 3-4 years, would you expect to see that like the midfield time increase a bit more though?
Not whilst Brayshaw, Sarong, Young, O'Driscoll, John, like maybe eventually. I wouldn't be opposed to it, but I do.
Yeah.
I'm
I'd probably
having
just
the
see him
midfield
slightly leaning like mid forward over forward mid for me. But that's largely based on what I saw through his like juniors, because that's what he was mid that just occasionally went forward.
Well, now we've got Bolton and Young in the side. There is that mid-forward rotation, so I'm sure they'll blend him into that at some point. Jesse says he doesn't see the Green-Murphy comparison at all. I think it's just his toughness and his ability to beat his opponent. Like Toby Green is elite at that, and I think Murphy Reed is as well. Even though he's like not got that frame and that explosiveness, like very good one-on-one.
No,
player.
he's got Murphy Reed definitely has like a sneaky mongrel in him, where he'll go in and win his own ball. Like he looks really calm and almost like to a point where he looks a bit chilled out, like he doesn't care.
Yeah.
Just in his demeanour, but he does have that in him. I've seen that in him.
Hawks don't leave Melbourne for the next month, and they have Richmond, West Coast, Melbourne, and then that Easter
They're
Monday
winning the
clash.
flag.
It's like if they can get through they can get through Geelong unscathed.
Yeah.
They could
You'd
easily
almost back
just
Geelong as favourites now, wouldn't you?
Oh yeah, for
this weekend.
sure.
Against the Hawks.
No real day, yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Definitely. Those are always really interesting contests as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's so interesting though how much the draw opening up for you can like change your fortunes. Like you look at Carlton, who now come into a patch where they play West Coast, they play North.
Yeah.
I think they have another pretty winnable game. Like if you get that combination of those lower end teams, it can just open it up for you. Not that I'm saying North are as much of an easy beat, but
they are.
We still give away games.
Get rid of him.
Get rid of him.
Well, Freo have just come into that where we've beaten the Dogs.
Yeah.
Beaten Richmond, beaten West Coast, and we got Melbourne next week. And that's like almost tune-ups for Adelaide. So
yeah. Pretty much what I'm saying is if you need a win and West Coast are on the table, you take it.
Licking your lips. Freo are in the top 8. We got them in the flag.
Wow.
Yeah, so we've got Adelaide.
I don't know if I would have predicted a lot of that top 8.
I wouldn't have predicted Gold Coast.
No way.
The rest of it, though, I think if I had swapped Gold Coast for Melbourne, my top 8 is dead on.
I had Swans in.
I would have Sydney in for sure. North in 15th. Gee.
I tipped us third.
I'm getting lightheaded being this high up.
What was your bottom fours So my bottom 4 was Richmond bottom, West Coast second bottom, North third bottom, Melbourne fourth bottom.
Mine was Richmond, West Coast, Western Bulldogs.
Oh.
And North?
Was that just to spite me?
No, they just had so many outs, and pre-season there was so much talk around like the club, and I just didn't like the vibe going into the season.
Fair.
I had Richmond and then West Coast, and then I had a team, and then I had North, and I want to say it was the Suns.
It's just an easy one to
Wasn't
chuck
the
down
Saints?
there.
I feel like the Saints are an easy one.
I had the Saints and Essendon down near the bottom
Oh,
as well.
Will Taylor's in there. There's Will Taylor. He broke his ankle the other day. Where is he?
Where is he?
Right
there
there,
he is.
purple shirt. Will
Hey,
Taylor.
Will.
Yes.
There he is.
He was filming a video the other day with some of the guys from Footy and Friends at Clubby. And Horn Francis, Georgiades and Butters were there. And they were basically doing like a one-on-one contest, like see who can win as many one-on-one contests or whatever. And this bloke like tapped the ball between his legs. Will's like turned around, gone to play on his foot, and his ankle just got like caught about, like his foot just rolled under his ankle and like fully like snapped a ligament. Had to go and see like the Port Adelaide physio and stuff.
God.
Yeah.
Best place to do it, I guess,
Yeah.
at the club.
But like he was just like sat in the medico room with like Butters
That's
and Horn
just-
Francis taking the piss out of him.
That's just grim. Poor Will.
That's crazy.
Big ups, Will.
You do not want that on a holiday.
No.
You do not want that when the Wattle Park Animals have lost by 180 points. We need him
You
back.
need him back in there for sure.
He had a great first game.
What is Will Taylor? What position is he taking?
Forward pocket.
Sneaky forward pocket. Love that. Absolutely love that. Well, that's a weird game. 30
was.
points.
That was a really anticlimactic end to gather round as well.
It really...
It's set up as the main event. There was a good fight back there from Hawthorn, but the damage was done in that first quarter.
It doesn't look as
first
bad on
half game was
paper.
done.
30 points.
Flatters them for sure.
I was about to say, did I say 5 goals, but to Hawthorn?
I said 5 goals to Hawthorn.
You said 5. I said a gritty Hawthorn win, didn't I?
Yeah.
I just
And
said
Marnie
Port.
got it
You got it
correct.
right.
And that's why you're on the big bucks here.
Football.
Football. She doesn't know what's going on.
No idea
Football.
what's going on.
We should,
Should we wrap this up, Jersey?
let's wrap it
It's
up.
getting weird now.
Take us away.
You want me to take us away? Yeah, thank you guys. What is this, round 5? 5 streams in. Another guest. Big ups, Marnie, for joining
so
us.
Thanks
much,
for
Marnie.
having me, guys. It was a
Smashed
pleasure.
it. Where can we find you?
Kanga TV on YouTube.
Are you a North fan?
You wouldn't read about it.
She's a Jack Darling fan.
Jack Darling fan, Jasper
Darling.
Pittard
Yeah.
fan, Hugh Greenwood fan.
All the big names.
All the big
Thanks for
guns.
joining us.
Thank you,
It's been a lot of
guys.
fun. And yeah, we'll be back next week for another stream with another guest and keep it rolling. Thank you guys
Awesome.
for watching. We'll see you in the next one.
We done?
I think so.
Already